Part 41. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 402. After Yi Lin stabbed the male fire dragon until blood spurted out, his face was soaked by the hot dragon's blood, and his whole face was filled with white smoke. At this moment, he ignored the pain on his face. His first reaction was, if you get slapped in the face and get hurt, does it count as a turn-based system? Even though Yi Lin is so awesome at slaying dragons, she is really pulled into the turn-based system. Yi Lin is very aware of her own weaknesses. His health is too low. At this moment, Yi Lin's direction was like a car driving forward without any regard for pregnancy. With the addition of extreme attack points, Yi Lin's extremely low defense was brought about. With the help of the recoil, Yi Lin stayed in mid-air for a moment. At that moment, the male fire dragon's body, dozens of times the size of Yi Lin, hit the ground heavily. The wind pressure and impact brought by the male fire dragon when it fell violently blasted Platycodon grandiflorum and Lineali away. At the critical moment, Kikyo finally recovered from the negative state. Kikyo was stunned for a moment. The deep fear she had felt a second ago had not dissipated. When she opened her eyes again, she saw blood spurting from the back of the male fire dragon's head, wailing and falling to the ground from the air. No. Yasha. Kikyo moved quickly and grabbed the stunned Lineali with one hand. After being knocked away, she maintained her balance in mid-air and landed awkwardly on the edge of the platform. The hot magma was not far away. It was like dancing on the edge of becoming hot pot meat. Position. Frightened Lineali finally woke up from despair and let out a shrill scream. Ah! Everything happened in a flash of lightning. Yi Lin was in mid-air and began to fall. There's no turn-based approach. It seems that even if I am sprayed with dragon blood and cause damage, as long as the male fire dragon does not find me, I will not be able to enter the turn-based mode. Tisk, this game has so many loopholes. While complaining, Yi Lin opened her arms and straightened her legs at the apex of the parabola, just as she was about to start falling. That posture seemed to be embracing the world. Auranos on top. Leap of faith. It was a rare opportunity to jump high, so Yi Lin took the opportunity to try a skill that she had never had the chance to try since she unlocked it. In panic, Kikyo raised his head. Just happened to see this scene. A man with a fierce face, smiling, closing his eyes, spreading his arms, jumped from a high place. In an instant, the bow that Kikyo was about to draw suddenly stopped. It wasn't just her bow that was stopped at the same time. And the thinking of Platycodon. At this moment, she didn't know what words to use to describe the grace of that leap. Turn over the brothel? Dragonfly licking water? A hero spreading his wings. The moment Yi Lin shouted Auranos is on top and jumped down, in Kikyo's eyes, the time around him stood still. Everything was silent. Her mind went blank. Breathtakingly gorgeous lava jumping pose. Yi Lin was stunned. After shouting Auranos is on top and using the strange skill leap of faith, Yi Lin felt that for a moment, as if somewhere, there was a pair of eyes staring deeply at her. Although it might be an illusion, Yi Lin was very sensitive to other people's eyes, and he did feel that way at this moment. But the sight from nowhere did not give Yi Lin a malicious feeling. When he couldn't distinguish the emotion contained in that line of sight, his body was one step faster than his mind, and he had already started to make a perfect, gorgeous, perfect diving action. Call out. -1. A hurt appeared on Yi Lin's forehead. -10. There was also a damage pop-up on the head of the fire dragon. I didn't expect this to be considered an attack. Yi Lin had no time to savor the blissful feeling just now, and she had no time to reflect on the perfect jumping action. After sitting on the back of the male fire dragon and causing -10 damage, Yi Lin decisively activated Follow Like a Shadow and Shadow Kill again, and before everyone could recover, she turned into another. An insidious shadow lurks in the darkness again. This skill is quite interesting. No wonder it's called a leap of faith. God's blessing, no matter how hard you jump, you can't die. Awesome. Yilin suddenly felt really delicious. Continue. The fragrance returns to fragrance, but the boss that should be fought must still be continued. Let the world feel pain from now on. Yilin has the rhythm now. Control the remote area and kill the dragon. As long as Platycodon is controlled with Calamity Haunted, the fire dragon that has fallen from high altitude to the ground will really be nothing more than a small experience gift pack to Yilin, who seems to have a plug-in activated at this moment. Card face. Kikyo was shocked all over. Eyes as charming as silk. Cheeks burned. Kikyo twisted and called out to Yilin. "Oh, my master, I am willing to do anything for you. Oh, whatever you want, you can do it." Linalai couldn't care less about despair. The shock value of Platycodon's sudden change instantly exceeded the fear in Linalai's heart. Linalai was completely stunned and thought she was dreaming. That Miko-sama, that Kikyo, actually showed such an expression? In the shadows. Yilin just took out the knife, dyed it green and red skillfully, and shook it out. But Kikyo's voice that suddenly became strange caused Yilin's skilled combo moves to deflect, and the poison-quenching dagger accidentally shook into the magma. "Ah, this? What's the situation? Did you go to the wrong set?" Yilin suddenly turned his head and looked at Kikyo. He clearly used disaster haunting, not any other skill. Wait, charm. With each breath, Yilin came back to her senses, but she couldn't laugh or cry. How could such an overbearing negative state be triggered at this juncture? It's too outrageous. Kikyo stood on the edge of the platform, ignoring the billowing heat, carrying the stunned Linalai, calling "Master, Master, Master" in her mouth. Her style changed from a Thrino girl to a Yandere girl in an instant, as if she was waiting for Yilin's next step. "Instruct. Don't stop me from killing the boss." Yilin activated poison-quenching dagger and bleeding dagger again and said quickly. "Close your eyes and stand still. Also, it's awkward." Kikyo actually closed her eyes obediently. "Now, there is no pressure anymore. I didn't expect Disaster Ridden to be so effective on Platycodon." Yilin didn't hesitate. He unleashed all his hand speed and full firepower. He launched a combo in 2 seconds and attacked the weak points of the male fire dragon that was screaming in pain. It turns out that once the crystal energy is worth more, you can really do whatever you want. There is only one reason why Yilin can combo so smoothly. At the end of the Great Engineer Academy, Yilin used some special method to instantly raise the deputy engineer to the highest level, Grand Engineer, triggering the mechanism of professional integration. After the integration of the main and auxiliary professions of Assassin and Grand Engineer, Yilin now has only one profession left on the player board: Shadow Warlock. This merged profession is not as simple as just putting on a name. The merged profession, in addition to having a more unique name, also brought Yilin an epic occupational extra bonus. Shadow Warlock. Hand speed add 50%. Crystal energy value add 50%. Spell power add 50%. Special skill, Banishment. Other hand speeds may not be that important. But the increase in crystal energy value add 50% was really too huge for Yilin. After the crystal energy value increased by 50%, Yilin's crystal energy value at this moment was almost reaching the upper limit of health. The full crystal energy value allows Yilin to perform several combos. The connection between combos is faster and smoother, making it a boss nightmare. Platycodon seemed to be a different person when she closed her eyes. The male fire dragon fell to the ground in pain. When he looked at Kikyo, his eyes revealed 3 parts of pain, 3 parts of obsession, 3 parts of confusion, and 1 part of indescribable relief. Immediately afterwards, the male fire dragon also closed his eyes in despair. 3 identical clones flashed past behind the male fire dragon. -9022. Minus 9022. Minus 9022. Just 2 sets of 2 moves took away nearly 60,000 health points of the male fire dragon. No matter who comes, they will cry out when they see this exaggerated scene. The roar of the male fire dragon is no longer as deafening as it was at first. If outsiders hear the roar of the male fire dragon, they will be very suspicious of who is the boss in this situation. Yulin estimated that the male fire dragon didn't have much health left. The light of his double daggers flashed, and he prepared to launch the third set of combos, absorbing this wave of experience. Although the level 70 boss has no cards. But after all, it can be regarded as the boss in the side mission, right? You lying on the ground like this, letting others do whatever you want without resisting, makes me feel like a bad person. Yulin sighed and became skillful in hiding in the shadows again. And at this time, Platycodon is indeed worthy of being LV, boss. Although Calamity Haunted was effective against Platycodon, it did not last long. After Yulin set a combo, Platycodon recovered again. When she thought about her strange behavior just now, her face suddenly turned blue and purple, her face tensed, and she didn't know what to do. Yulin saw that Kikyo had recovered from her negative state, but she didn't panic. Anyway, Disaster Haunted, this outrageous talent skill, has no other restrictions except that you have to shout a slogan, and the consumption is not high. To the extreme, it doesn't hurt at all to use the skills. But then, something unexpected happened to Yulin. After recovering, Kikyo didn't get angry or embarrassed, but quickly took out the bow and knelt on the ground. The hot platform was close to Platycodon's skin, and the feeling was unpleasant. Please, don't kill him. Apart from the charm just now, this was the first time Yulin heard such a weak tone from Kikyo's mouth. Late. Yulin's laughter came from all directions, mysterious and mysterious. The next second, 2 types of debuff damage, one red and one green, popped up from the top of the dragon's head again. No. Seeing that Yulin had no intention of showing mercy, Kikyo frantically got up from the ground, bent her bow and arrow as fast as she could, and the whole process was completed in one go. Even though Kikyo was in such a panic, her hands did not tremble at all. The end of the arrow feathers flashed with light, and with a whoosh, the seemingly ordinary arrow came through the air. Yulin originally thought that Kikyo's arrow was aimed at him, and was just about to dodge. But what Yulin never expected was that Kikyo's arrow was actually aimed at the fire dragon. Boss, are you robbing the boss? After Kikyo shot the arrow, tears fell silently from her cold eyes. She closed her eyes in despair. But soon, he breathed a long sigh of relief. His expression seemed to be one of relief. It's over. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 403. Boom. The male fire dragon fell to the ground slumped. Yulin's sword and Kikyo's arrow are almost in no particular order. Congratulations. Successfully killed fire dragon Yaksha, curse. EXP add 400,000. Yulin pouted. No treasure chests popped. This rate is unscientific. But forget it. Anyway, I got 400,000 experience points. The bag is safe. At the last moment, Platycodon's arrow failed to catch up with Yulin's sword, and it was Yulin who finally gained the experience. A mere 400,000 experience points cannot allow Yulin to level up. Yulin felt something was wrong. Too few experience points is one reason. Kikyo's last action also left Yulin puzzled. It was obviously a difficult situation facing 2 bosses, but at the last moment, Kikyo made a move to grab the boss that Yulin never expected. Although many settings in the game world are vaguely weird. But after all, he acted according to logic. As an NPC, Kikyo's operation left Yulin a little confused. Before coming to the Fire God Mountain, Yulin roughly guessed the truth hidden in the land of fire through various intelligence clues and the oral accounts of Lilei and Hanmaime. The previous generation of Hokage, the previous generation of Maiko, and the childhood sweethearts of Kikyo failed in their campaign to defeat the dragon. After Kikyo became a new generation of Maiko, she entered the Vulcan Mountain alone 10 years ago. It is said that with the help of the god of fire, this evil dragon was defeated. When Yulin heard this, she felt something was wrong. Many years ago, the 3 boss-level NPCs failed to deal with the fire dragon, but they managed to break out the small universe for Platycodon and summon the Vulcan? This unscientific. It's also unreasonable. And Yulin knew very well that the fire god they believed in was actually the giant beast under their feet, Boros. Yulin didn't know much about the giant beast's force, but judging from its size alone, it was far beyond what the male fire dragon could compare to. Yulin had already tried to stab him on the ground as if he wanted to die. Not even the damage value pops up. The power of the giant beast is evident. So, the conclusion is out. The fire dragon is not dead. Platykyo used some means to reach an agreement with the fire dragon. Although I don't know how Platycodon does it, it seems that as long as Platycodon sacrifices a villager every year, the male fire dragon will squat in the Vulcan Mountain obediently and will not come out to cause trouble. This is a cruel story. At first, Yulin actually wanted to kill Kikyo as well. But when Yulin saw the suffix of boss before taking action, she suddenly couldn't bear it. Yaksha. This male fire dragon was actually transformed by Kikyo's childhood sweetheart Yasha, who went into the mountains with the Hokage and the previous generation of witches to defeat the fire dragon 10 years ago. There is something hidden in this. But Yulin still took action. After all, there is a mission. So Yulin chose to kill the fire dragon not just because he thought the fire dragon was easy to bully. Yulin almost guessed the original appearance of the entire script. But in the end, Kikyo shot an arrow at the male fire dragon, which made Yulin feel that the script she had guessed was full of loopholes. It seems that I must have missed something. After Yulin received the kill prompt, she ignored the male fire dragon that gradually turned into ashes and disappeared. While being alert that Platycodon might explode and hurt someone, she asked, "Why?" A soft light flashed across Kikyo's face, and she smiled slightly. "It's over." "What's the meaning?" "It's all over, his nightmare and mine." Yulin was surprised. Kikyo looked away from the remains of the male fire dragon that gradually turned into ashes, and looked at Yulin. After Yulin killed the fire dragon, perhaps because of the mission, the name on the top of Kikyo's head temporarily changed back to a yellow name. Neutral. Yulin has long been accustomed to the repeated jumps in the attitude of NPCs towards players in the game world, and is not surprised. "Yulin, why did Yaksha turn into a dragon?" Kikyo smiled. "Everything started 10 years ago." "Hurry." Kikyo didn't care about Yulin's urging and began to explain the plot competently. 10 years ago, Lord Hokage, Kikyo's mother, and Yasha went to Vulcan Mountain to defeat the evil dragon. Overnight, they all died. Kikyo originally wanted to avenge them, so she went to Huashan Mountain alone. But Kikyo looked at the male fire dragon that had turned into white bones not far away, and laughed miserably. But what Kikyo didn't expect is that all of this was just the beginning of a nightmare. The thing that really brings disaster to the village is not the fire dragon, but the real darkness hidden within the fire dragon. Dragon slayers will eventually turn into evil dragons. It's a curse. The previous fire dragon was actually transformed by a certain dragon slayer. After Yasha told me this, Platycodon was very painful. Yasha, he was also very painful. The strong will allows Yaksha to control the evil thoughts of the fire dragon and prevent all living beings from being destroyed. But Yaksha is only a person after all, and he cannot completely control the darkness in his body. So every year when Yasha can't hold on anymore, Platycodon will ask a villager. Speaking of this, Platycodon seemed to think of the people who had been buried in the belly of the dragon in the past 10 years, with a sad expression, and for a moment in silence, he passed by this bloody and cruel section. In the end, Kikyo found a solution in the ancient books left by Lord Hokage. As he spoke, Kikyo turned his back to Yilin, took off his robe, and exposed his snow-white back. There is a large healed scar on Platycodon's snow-white and smooth back. The scars are made up of criss-crossing lines, as if they were carved in with a knife. Just looking at the technique covering almost the entire back, one can imagine the pain Kikyo endured. Today, 10 years later, under the suppression of Yasha, the darkness in the fire dragon's body will be at its weakest. And if I, Kikyo, the 43rd generation shrine maiden of the land of fire, kill the fire dragon with my own hands, the terrible darkness will be completely sealed in Kikyo's body. When the time comes, if you kill Kikyo with your own hands, then everything will be over. After saying that, Kikyo put on her clothes silently and staggered towards the dragon bone on the ground. After Platycodon finished speaking, he lay completely on the ground in the gaps between the bones. At some point, drops of blood as black as ink leaked out. The black blood gradually gathered together like reptiles on the bones along the complete keel. Finally, in the male fire dragon's completely collapsed skull and dark eye sockets, drops of black blood as black as ink strangely condensed into a twisting black shadow. The black shadow condensed into a human form for a while, and then condensed into an irregular shape. Surrounding the black shadow, countless human faces appeared. The empty faces had their mouths wide open, as if they were silently wailing endlessly. Yilin was stunned. How could it unfold like this? Yilin turned her head expressionlessly. It just so happened that the black shadow also condensed and took shape. Will the dragon slayer eventually turn into an evil dragon? Who designed such a cliché script, you bastard? The script is cliché, but it's still very annoying. Kikyo crossed Yilin and stepped forward step by step. Yilin looked intently, and on top of the black shadow's head, information about the boss appeared. 6 evil generals, dragon's resentment. LV? Platycodon stopped in front of the dragon's skull. After she said all this, she felt relaxed. There is no more burden on my shoulders. The villagers she sent here in the past 10 years are all her sins. Her way of atonement is to completely end this darkness and cut it off completely in her hands. Kill me. Kikyo closed her eyes. Said to Yilin. The other side. Yilin stood behind Kikyo, but her mood was complicated. I don't know whether to cry or laugh. So that's what happened. According to the normal script flow, this boss should be played like this. The team gives priority to gathering the fire dragon. When the fire dragon has remaining health, Platycodon will suddenly jump horizontally and kill the boss instantly with one arrow. Finally, they will merge into one. Platycodon will merge with 6 evil generals dragons resent and become a brand new dragon. This is the true face of this boss battle. As for the commentary script and the like, maybe a diary or something will be revealed after the boss dies to answer players' questions about the plot. That's why in the design of the boss, the male fire dragon has a weak state and its meat is of excellent quality. When it is cut, it will cause blood and the damage will be inflated. The real difficulty is actually here. Yilin also didn't expect that in the Land of Fire, she originally wanted to do a side quest, but in the end it led to the target of the main quest, 6 evil generals. This 6 evil generals exist in a rather strange way. It actually exists in the game world in an idealistic way. At the end of the normal mission process, after the player kills female fire dragon Platycodon, curse, 6 evil generals dragons resent will no longer be transferred, and the player is equivalent to a double kill in one go, completing this task perfectly. The entire boss battle can be summed up in one sentence. The story of killing Platycodon grandiflorum, who was willing to become a female fire dragon for the sake of a male fire dragon, and also solving the main boss 6 evil generals together. But even the planning team probably didn't expect that Yilin's burst of hand speed and output at the last moment just exceeded Kikyo's arrow speed, completing the final last hit. "Kill me," Kikyo said. 6 evil generals. Dragon's resentment is ready to move. It seems to be a black shadow condensed by countless resentful souls, twisting endlessly. "What would you do if I told you that the person who killed the fire dragon at the end was actually me?" Kikyo opened her eyes again. His expression was astonished. After Yilin said these words, the mysterious boss who had been dancing in situ finally moved. At this moment, Kikyo still maintained her arms open posture, standing between Yilin and 6 evil generals, Dragon's resent, without regaining consciousness. "What does it mean? Wasn't it me who killed Yaksha? How could you be so fast? Too fast?" All sorts of thoughts were running through Kikyo's mind. The huge resentment, like teleporting, passed over the Platycodon and floated towards Yilin. It seemed like a very slow movement, but in the blink of an eye, 6 evil generals, Dragon's resent moved several positions in a strange way and rushed towards Yilin. Surrounded by resentment, the silently wailing faces became even more ferocious. "It seems that they want Yilin to become one of them." Yilin screamed in her heart, "You." Without hesitation, Yilin activated the combination of shadow following and shadow killing at the critical moment, and fled desperately. At this moment, Platycodon was also desperate. She had planned for 10 years just for this day. Unexpectedly, because her hand speed was a step slower, all her efforts fell short. Only the 6 evil generals' dragon's resentment possessing her can end all this. Even if Yilin turns into a dragon, if she can kill Yilin, there will be more victims. Yilin's shadow moved quickly on the stone wall. But that huge black shadow seemed to be bound to Yilin, like a tarsal bone, biting Yilin tightly. This kind of idealistic existence can no longer be avoided by simply disappearing the sense of existence. Yilin moved faster and faster on the stone wall. But the black shadow that was close behind Yilin was faster. In the blink of an eye, 6 evil generals, Dragon's resent had arrived behind Yilin's butt. The invisible black shadow, the human face twisted, suddenly turned into a ferocious dragon head. The dragon opened its huge mouth and bit into the snake-like shadow on the stone wall. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 404. This mission, whether it was the truth hidden behind it or the main mission boss that suddenly popped up, was beyond Yilin's expectation. This really echoes that sentence. Plans cannot keep up with changes. Behind Yilin, there were waves of cold breath. It felt like gusts of cold wind blowing against your bare buttocks. He didn't need to look back to guess that the idealistic boss was right behind him. This boss is different from ordinary boss and cannot be solved with a knife. What to do? Yilin's brain was overloaded in an instant. He can't die here. No way. The skills he currently possesses flashed through his mind quickly. But in this case, the skills that can deal with this weird existence. Disaster-ridden. No, it's too late to shout. Grasp of annihilation? If the annihilation effect is triggered, it will be fine, but what if it is not triggered? Add the initial props to create a combo skill. No. That's too late. Boom, boom, boom. The only sound left in Yilin's ears was the sound of her own heartbeat. It seemed like it would jump out of my throat at any moment. Thick sweat broke out on Yilin's face. But there was only one patch on my forehead, which was as clean as new, without any sweat or dirt. It was a piece of dead skin that couldn't be picked off for some reason. That's right. There's another trick. Yilin's pupils shrank suddenly, and in the shadow state, he suddenly took out the death revolver and aimed at the black figure behind him. At this moment, Death Revolver is covered with various mysterious lines, like a gorgeous work of art. On the lines, light flows. One more trick. Shadow Warlock's additional career bonuses include a special professional skill that does not help with output, but at this moment, it can give Yilin a glimmer of hope. Exile. Put. Yilin's posture was ready. Prepare to banish 6 evil generals, dragons resent to a different space, and then think about the solution. Time is too hasty. There is no invincible boss. As long as it is a boss designed in the game, there must be a way to kill it. But what Yilin lacks most now is time. He didn't even have time to release his singing skills. Suddenly, just when Yilin was about to use the special skill Exile, take a moment to pause. That piece of dead skin on my forehead, which usually had no other special features other than picking it with my hands, felt a tingling sensation like an electric current flowing through it. It's crispy, numb, and a little comfortable. Yilin, I'm numb. But it's so comfortable right now. Yilin's movements froze. It was this moment of numbness that made Yilin release her skill, too late. In the blink of an eye, Yilin was swallowed by the dragon head evolved from the black shadow. Black energy possession. Yilin's vision went dark and she was completely lost. Boundless darkness spreads. Everything happened so fast that Kikyo, who was still in the magma platform, was caught off guard and didn't know what to do next. After the jet black dragon head swallowed Yilin's mouth, the jet black resentment clung to the surface of Yilin's body like substance. Yilin's whole figure looked like a person fished out of ink. It was black and particularly conspicuous in the space where the air was burned red. Kikyo sighed softly. She silently picked up the bow and arrows on the ground, drew the long bow to full length again, unloaded the arrow feathers, and was ready to go. The development of things was beyond Kikyo's expectation. Unexpectedly, predictions sometimes go wrong. God, it turns out, is not omniscient or omnipotent. Now if he wants to make up for this sin, Kikyo can only kill the brave man who turned into a dragon with his own hands and transfer the dragon's resentment to himself. She can only replay the role she once played as Yaksha and wait for the next Maiko who is willing to sacrifice herself for another reincarnation. You are successfully possessed by 6 evil generals' dragon's resentment. You are about to transform into Fire Dragon Yilin, curse. It is recommended that teammates immediately kill Fire Dragon Yilin, curse, to ensure safety. You are in a non-team state. I wish you happiness and good health. Kakaka. Boundless darkness spread before Yilin's eyes. Yilin's eyes suddenly turned blood-colored. The bones, skin, and muscles all over the body expanded rapidly like a balloon. Yilin felt like she was going to explode. At this critical moment, Yilin suddenly had a strange idea. I turned into a dragon, so I should still be considered a player, right? The severe pain of torn bones and muscles spread throughout the body. What to do? Yilin endured the intense pain, her mind racing. When the boss becomes me, how should I kill him? Did I kill myself? The boss is actually me? What to do? What to do? What to do? In pain, Yilin felt that her thinking ability was rapidly declining. It seems that this curse, in addition to turning him into a dragon, will also turn him into a brainless person. Right now, a strange chill came from the dead skin on his forehead. The coolness, fresh and mellow, circulated through Yilin's limbs and bones in just a short moment. At the moment when the coolness surged out, the swollen and torn bones, skin, and muscles all over the body suddenly stopped hurting. There is even some indescribable comfort. This sudden change immediately caused a look of astonishment to appear on Yilin's face. What's this? From the moment Yilin created the account, she noticed that there was a strange piece of dead skin on the forehead of the account character. This piece of dead skin cannot be removed no matter how hard you pick at it, but it feels great in the hand. At first, Yilin thought that this was just a characteristic of the character, and there was nothing special about it. But at this moment, Yilin suddenly realized. This piece of dead skin is not simple. The black ink blood spreading on the surface of Yilin's body was like a tide. Accompanied by the sudden coolness, it quickly subsided and converged towards Yilin's forehead. In a short while, the black luster on the body was gathered in a small palm-sized area on the forehead. In the blink of an eye, even the last stubbornness disappeared without a trace, as if it had never happened. Congratulations! Success, resolved the grudge of the 6 evil generals and the dragon. The system kill prompt seems to have a different explanation. But that's not important. Due to killing the only monster by leapfrogging, the EXP reward will be greatly increased. Please be prepared to upgrade. This? Is that all? Too fast. This was done without any precautions or worries. It was very surprising. As Yilin looked confused, another 6 evil general card experience pack was about to fall into her bag. Before Yilin could take action, the boss was gone. If it were said that 6 evil generals source devouring insect nest walked peacefully at that time, then this 6 evil generals dragon's resent is very refreshing to walk on. It really comes in a hurry and goes in a hurry. Before Yilin even had time to detect the boss's skills and attributes, the boss was already out of control. EXP add 432-2456. Get gold coins add 95630G. Yilin saw it clearly this time. It's clear. 4.32 million experience points. Compared with the experience package after killing 6 evil generals and source devouring insect nest, Yilin was much happier this time. After all, this experience gift package came so suddenly that Yilin was not mentally prepared at all. It can be said to be double happiness. As the experience points arrived, golden light fell on Yilin's head one after another, bright and dazzling. In the cave, Platycodon grandiflorum was preparing to bend the bow and shoot an arrow, and when he was carrying more sins, he was horrified to find that when his body was bulging and ready to transform into a dragon, it suddenly withered again. The darkness receded, and everything seemed to have never happened. One after another golden light, the light from the gods, fell from the darkness, splitting the shadow on the stone wall like a bright lamp in the sea of clouds, so dazzling and dazzling. This sudden change made Platycodon's fully stretched bow involuntarily relax, and she stared at what was happening in front of her with dumbfounded eyes. Dragon, dragon, dragon's resentment, gone. Congratulations. Level increased to LV 68. Get God-given points. Congratulations. The upgraded golden light struck him 5 times in a row. Yilin was bathed in the golden light and felt so happy that she didn't stop until level 72. Although it was possible to upgrade to 5 levels in a row, Yilin once tried the pleasure of upgrading to 16 levels in a row. The pleasure of upgrading to 5 levels in a row came and went quickly, and it became boring after a while. It's only level 5. Yilin was subconsciously disappointed at first, but when she thought about it, she realized that the experience gift package was almost free of charge, so she was not so disappointed anymore. Ding. After a few more seconds, Yilin heard a ding in her ear. Congratulations. You completed the feat of killing the 6 evil generals within 10 seconds. Your speed made Uranus sigh deeply, completing the only hidden achievement. I would like to call you the fastest. Get the title, Quick Gunner. Get the special item Aurano's Compromise. Is this an achievement? Yilin was a little surprised. He originally thought that after crossing level 30 and killing the 6 evil generals, there would be no success this time. It turns out that there is also the fastest one. But why are these achievements and titles a bit weird? Aurano's Compromise. Just when Yilin was about to check the properties of this special item, she activated shadow following and shadow killing without any warning and disappeared from the spot. Ding. This time, the ding was not a sound of surprise. An arrow whose tail feathers were filled with magical light passed through the spot where Yilin had been standing not long ago. It missed the target and sank deeply into the hot stone wall, shaking endlessly. It's Platycodon. Yilin's face darkened. He moves around the field quickly. The dragon's grudge has been resolved. I know. Kikyo opened her eyes and said calmly. But at the same time as she answered, she slowly took out a long arrow from the quiver, put it on the string, and took a step. The killing intent gradually became stronger in her cold eyes. But you know the truth of all this. Today, only one person can leave the Vulcan mountain alive. Oh! Yilin's eyes flashed. He stared deeply at Kikyo from the darkness. On top of her head, the name was red and purple. She means it? With Yilin's rapid movement, Kikyo couldn't determine Yilin's position, but she tapped her toes on the ground, maintaining a position that allowed her to change positions at any time. With the death of the male fire dragon, the temperature in the volcano seemed to have dropped a bit. But their health points were still slowly declining. The lava is rolling. In the space with distorted light, in the center of the platform, Platycodon grandiflorum with its long bow drawn, looked like a valkyrie in a sea of fire, remaining calm and powerful. Yet, Yilin smiled slightly, and then the two daggers silently shot behind Kikyo. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 405. 10 minutes later. Platycodon was convinced. Great service. Of course, the way Yilin subdues Platycodon grandiflorum is very different from the way Wang Tiandi sleeps with the she-wolf. He stabbed Platycodon alive with a knife. Platycodon residual blood. She knelt on the ground, the hot rock beneath her knees. Closing her eyes, the corners of Kikyo's eyes were moist and the corners of her mouth turned up inexplicably. A small knife lay across Kikyo's snow-white neck. Yilin estimated that if he performed another set of combos, he would be able to obtain this small experience package. Maybe there will be equipment such as Maiko uniform and Maiko corset. Why don't you resist? Yilin asked. Kikyo seemed to have no intention of opening her eyes. I lose, kill me. Yilin frowned, do you want to die? I said, only one person can leave Huashenshan. Yilin glanced at Li Nailai, who was already dying from the heat, and smiled, don't forget, Li Lei's sister also knows all this, and she can't hide it. So you want to atone for your sins, but you don't know how to face the villagers of the fire country. You think death is the real end for you, right? Yilin was talking. Kikyo said nothing. He just lowered his head and waited calmly for death to come. She has been waiting for this day for a long time. Although the process was beyond Kikyo's expectations, in the end, the result was as predicted by the gods. Yilin was silent for a moment and then asked again. Prophecy, what is it? Platycodon finally answered, the brave man will come here and personally end the sins of Yasha and me. Kikyo urged, this is all the will of the gods, so kill me and everything will end. Yilin's hand holding the knife did not shake at all. Faced with such a gift package of experience that allowed him to do whatever he wanted, it was impossible not to be tempted. Although I don't have much experience, I can win easily. Although the little melon brought to my mouth is not sweet, it is better than whoring for free. Call. Yilin took a deep breath. Breathed out slowly again. The hot air and the stinging feeling in the lungs actually calmed Yilin down. Yilin held the dagger in one hand. The other hand quickly swiped down to open the task interface. Redemption. Yilin chewed these two words carefully. After a while, Yilin released the knife from Kikyo's neck. Kikyo opened her eyes in surprise. Yilin smiled slightly, do you think it will be over once you die? The villagers who know part of the truth will only hate you. Your sins will become history and be passed down forever in the sea of clouds. This kind of ending is not the end. In this case, our Rano's prediction will be wrong. Kikyo turned her head, tears in her eyes. The name above her head suddenly turned yellow again. At this moment, Kikyo completely took off the mask that she had been hiding for many years. With tears streaming down her face, she no longer had the skin of a cold witch, but instead looked like a delicate little widow whose husband had just died. Then what do I do? Stay alive. I have no reason to live. You don't need a reason to live. When Yilin said this, she felt uncomfortable for some reason. He ignored Kikyo. Directly in front of Platycodon grandiflorum, he lifted the angry Linalai on her shoulders. If this continues, this little girl will really die. If Linalai dies, the mission fails. Yilin still sees this trade-off very clearly. Even if Kikyo can't figure it out, Yilin won't be afraid if he attacks Yilin again. Even if he is dragged into the turn system now, his pile of skills are enough to cope with it, and he is afraid of it. Kikyo's face was flushed and her lips were pursed. It's too hot around here. Linalai was a confused person when she came, but when she left, this confused person turned into Platycodon grandiflorum. Yilin carried Linalai and walked in front. Like a frustrated little daughter-in-law, Kikyo followed Yilin silently. Following the way they came, the three of them walked out of Huashenshan. Unexpectedly, at the foot of Huashan Mountain, when Yilin and the others appeared, the villagers collectively waited anxiously at the entrance of Panshan Road. When the figures of Yilin and Kikyo appeared in the distance, they were already shouting the names of the three of them and rushed forward. The fastest one to come was Linalai. Linalai carefully took Linalai from Yilin, hugged his sister, and cried so loudly. Han Mei was also secretly wiping tears at the side. To Yilin's surprise, blacksmith Ge Lang was also at the end of the crowd. He noticed Yilin's gaze, poured wine into his mouth, then waved to Yilin, turned around and left, returning to the village. Yilin raised her head and suddenly realized that the sky was finally clear. The desolate scene with ashes floating all over the sky is like yesterday, gone forever. Yilin casually threw the grey mask aside. We don't need this anymore. Kikyo hides behind Yilin, not knowing how to face the villagers. Han Mei felt relieved when she saw that although Linalai was weak, her life was not in danger. To put it bluntly, the health value has not bottomed out yet. Han Mei quickly came to Platycodon, supported the Miko, and asked cautiously, Lady Platycodon, are you okay? Kikyo's lips moved, but she couldn't say a word. Yilin sighed and told Han Mei everything that happened in the cave and the truth about everything. When Han Mei heard this, she turned around and cried. It is finally over. Ah! Han Mei's reaction was obviously tears of joy, which surprised Yilin. Did you not hear clearly, Kikyo? Han Mei waved her hands and hugged the overwhelmed Platycodon hard. Actually, we already knew it. 10 years ago, the first person who volunteered to be the Vulcan bride was my mother. In fact, before she volunteered to be a bride, she secretly entered the Vulcan mountain and met Lord Yasha. Lord Yasha told us all this. We know that Lord Platycodon and Lord Yasha are burdened with a lot. Every year, Lord Yasha, if he can't control the demon in his body, he will go crazy and can't help but attack the village. So, my mother volunteered. Han Mei hugged Platycodon tighter and harder. Lord Kikyo, we and they all do it voluntarily. In an instant. After understanding everything, Kikyo finally couldn't help but hold back the tears. She hugged Han Mei and cried loudly like a child. Yilin was stunned for a moment, then couldn't help laughing. Look, isn't this a reason to live? Ding! Congratulations! Complete the special open side mission, Redemption. Your kindness has been praised by Uranus. Get the title, Benevolent One. EXP add 150,000. Obtain the prop Forgiveness of the Benevolent. Just don't use the exclamation point for this mere 150,000 experience, okay? Not surprised at all. As the experience required for Yilin's upgrade increased, the experience value of 150,000 made Yilin not excited at all. On the contrary, it was the prop that aroused Yilin's curiosity. Before leaving, Yilin found another deed of 6 evils on the platform. The strange thing is that although the cause of death of one of the 6 dignified bosses is unknown, no other treasures have been revealed except the mission props, which is also strange. But Yilin quickly stopped worrying about it. After all, the game's violence rate was low, and he had long been accustomed to it, so it didn't matter. Everyone returned to the village. Later I heard that the Maiko Kikyo seemed to have vented all her grievances, depression, and guilt over the past 10 years, and cried so loudly that she cried all night long. Many villagers were in the shrine, holding their heads and crying together. Come to think of it, Kikyo was only in her teens when she became a Maiko 10 years ago. Unless the game setting is that teenage girls can give birth. Otherwise, she would have been nothing more than a little girl who had not yet grown up, even though she had silently carried all the Platycodons back then. Yilin became an unsung hero for a while. He returned to the village silently. Yilin originally wanted to sneak back to the hot spring hotel and take a good bath to wash away the dirt and ashes all over her body. What Yilin never expected was that when he walked into the room, Goza was already slumped on the edge of the hot spring, with a towel covering his face, letting out a faint moan of pleasure, looking like a scumbag. Why the hell did you come back? When the scumbag saw that Yilin had returned safely, he squinted and took off the towel, grinning with an evil look on his face. Woof, woof woof woof. Ben Wang, lost. You are a real dog. Yilin didn't know why, but she always felt that she understood. While taking a bath, Yilin sorted out the gains from this trip. The first is props. Uranus's Compromise. Rarity unique. Effect after use, within 10 minutes, Auranos will close his eyes on you and cannot bear to look at you. Explanation: after Auranos no longer looks at you, the world will be yours to decide. This. What does it mean? It is another prop that is currently incomprehensible and incomprehensible. This is the reward for completing the feat of killing 6 evil generals within 10 seconds. I guess it really can't be copied. Because Yilin still can't figure out how the 6 evil generals dragons resent died. Forget it, this kind of one-time prop cannot be tried out, so let's put it away first. Yilin was soaking in the hot spring, picking at the dead skin on her forehead and checking the next item. Forgiveness of the Benevolent. Rarity S. Effect: after using it on the target, the damage received will be reduced by 99% within 5 rounds. Used on the map, lasts 10 minutes. Explanation: it is far easier to kill than to forgive. Well, there are no special damage reduction items. Yilin took one look and put it away. For Yilin, who rarely suffers harm, this forgiveness of the benevolent may not be useful. But be prepared, and there is nothing wrong with leaving it alone. After all, this is a TikTok game where your account will be deleted once you die, so you can never have too few life-saving items. 2 mediocre props. Yilin sighed. Wang Tiandi, who was combing his dog's hair not far away, glanced at Yilin in confusion. Do not know why. Goza always felt that the words of this shameless human seemed to be suspicious of Versailles. Yilin ignored Goza's gaze. While still enjoying the hot spring, he quickly opened the God's Gift panel. Knowing heart rate, knowing damage, agility, yo, here comes the skill. Yilin perked up as soon as she saw the skill. The new skills are worth looking forward to. Snapped. The ultimate meaning of the two-sword style. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 406. Thank you, Lord Brave. Inside the shrine, Kikyo bowed deeply to Yilin. Uh-huh. The reputation of the land of fire will rise instantly admiration. Actually, it's not difficult to gain reputation, right? Yulin looked at the green names in front of her and murmured softly. How come Li Erpang is so awesome that he even forgets his last name after gaining the respect of a mermaid country? Platycodon raised her head, the area around her eye sockets was swollen, and her sclera was still covered with bloodshot eyes. After crying all night, the swelling in my eyes didn't just go away. But after crying, Kikyo seemed to have completely let go of her heart, and her whole person looked completely new. She no longer had the cold and gloomy feeling before, and had a natural smile on her face. Master Brave, you are right. You don't need a reason to live. Perhaps this village will become Kikyo's reason to live. Yulin waved his hand. After completing the task, he had stayed here long enough and it was time for Yulin to leave. Kikyo also gave Yulin a hand-drawn Poros map. On the map, each monster area and the location of human gathering places are clearly marked. The beautiful fonts above are clearly legible. Apparently, it was written by Kikyo. When laying out the map, Yulin could even smell the body fragrance from Platycodon grandiflorum. Platycodon seems to have no other treasures that can be obtained. Yulin didn't know how to use her most precious longbow, so it would be in vain to ask for it, so she just let it go. Yulin jumped over the level and killed 6 evil generals in a row. The gold coin reward alone was nearly 200,000. After his wallet became rich, Yulin's behavior became more tough. Out of potions. Purchase. Lack of equipment. Purchase. In short, in one word, I am not short of money. After the fire dragon Yaksha in the volcano dies, the source of the ashes disappears, and this area will no longer be filled with ashes. The desolate scene flying all over the sky has become a thing of the past. As predicted in the prophecy left by Auranos to Kikyo, Yulin's arrival completely ended their sins and obtained redemption. Kikyo decided afterwards that even if she no longer needed to find sacrifices to send to the Fire God Mountain for sacrifice, she still wanted to pass on the custom of the Fire God sacrifice. She decided to pass down this story in the form of a ballad. Of course, the protagonists of the ballad are no longer the god of fire and the bride, but the dog warrior. Oh no, it's the hero and the dog. Yulin didn't care about Kikyo's decision either. It's just a game anyway. It's hard to say whether there will be a chance to return to this village again in the future. But the only thing that left Yulin with thoughts about this village was the clear and scalding hot springs and the attentive hot spring hotels. If you have the chance, it would be a good idea to come to this small hot spring village for a vacation. Before Yulin and Wang Tiandi left, the whole village bid them farewell. Li Nalai still hadn't fully recovered. With Li Lei's help, she came to the entrance of the village. Li Lei bowed deeply to Yulin. "Thank you, Lord Brave." Han Mai wiped her tears quietly. Yulin chuckled, "To put it bluntly, you have known my identity for a long time, but you have to pretend not to know. It's really hard for you." "Good acting." Li Lei, Han Mai. "Goodbye." Blacksmith Ge Lang packed his bag and hammer and followed Yulin silently. After being separated, Blacksmith Ge Lang once again became the player's good neighbor, good friend, and commentator NPC. Yulin did not look back. After just a short time together, Yulin felt a little bit more reluctant to leave this village. After walking a certain distance, Yulin took out the map drawn by Kikyo himself. The moment the paper was rolled out, a light and elegant body fragrance hit his nose. The kingdom of Amalur is in this direction. Yulin's ears seemed to still be echoing with Kikyo's kind reminder before parting. "Sir Brave, the kingdom of Amara is the sphere of influence of the Holy See. Kikyo doesn't know why the Holy See wants Lord Brave, but Kikyo believes that Lord Brave is definitely not the devil they say. Whether it's a misunderstanding or other reasons, Kikyo hopes that the brave man will be careful when he comes to the kingdom of Amara. Platycodon wishes you good luck in martial arts. Yulin." How much dirty water has the holy sea poured on itself? At night. The moonlight is like a wash. A sim village. What? You said the Kenai we are looking for is your grandfather. Li Erpang was dumbfounded. Ningyu and Xiao Chua were also stunned. I never expected it to unfold like this. The Kenai family. The area around the door was filled with villagers. If Li Erpang and the others hadn't rescued them from the tentacles of sea monster Karagan not long ago, they would have carried weapons and blasted out these bastards who brought the mermaids into the village. The reputation value of Yasim village dropped rapidly. But the three of them couldn't care less. What the hell is going on? Kenai had a bit of fear in his eyes. From time to time, his eyes drifted to his grandmother. That was grandfather Kenai's first wife. My grandmother has been in the village since she was a child, telling strange stories about mermaids. According to legend, mermaids are evil creatures. Their appearance is like that of fairies, and their figures are coveted. But their singing can tempt people to fall into the depths of the sea of clouds and sink forever. You, are Romy Ya. The old woman's voice trembled slightly. The moment she saw Romy Ya, she seemed to have aged much in just 1 second. Who are you? After Romy Ya learned that the little Kenai in front of her was the grandson of the older Kenai, she was so sad that she didn't know how to respond. She looked at the old woman blankly, at a loss. The old woman took out a small box from under the bed. After opening it, there was a rusty key inside. She handed the key to little Kenai, closed her eyes, and didn't answer any questions. She just said, "Take them to the back mountain." The innocent little Kenai could only take a few people to the back mountain of Yasim village. Romia is in the water bottle, looking sad. Romia has forgotten that compared to the eternal life of a mermaid, a mere 100 years of human life is only a moment. Romia has been waiting for Kenai. I didn't expect that for humans, so much time has passed. At this point, Ningyu has roughly understood the outline of the entire plot. This is a sad story. Man and fish are destined not to be together. But how will we accomplish our mission? Ningyu was not that sentimental, he thought of this instantly. But Xiao Chua is a woman, and women can understand women best. Her eyes were also red, and she wiped her eyes from time to time, whispering to comfort Romy Ya in the water bottle, saying that there was no grass anywhere in the world, so why should she have unrequited love for a dead grass? Upon hearing Xiao Chua's comfort, Luomia cried even more miserably. Kenai leads the way. The hill behind our village is also called Huihunbei. Our ancestors have been buried here for generations. When I was young, I once heard my grandmother tell the story of Kenai's grandfather. He said that when he was young, he met a mermaid. At this point, Kenai glanced at Romy Ya carefully. Swallowed his saliva, paused for a moment, and then continued. At that time, my grandfather and my grandmother had a marriage contract. But after my grandfather met a mermaid, he became obsessed with him all day long. From time to time he would run to the white beach in the middle of the night and listen to the mermaids singing. It was as if he had become a different person. From that day on, there is a rumor in the village that Grandpa Kenai's soul was taken away by a mermaid. Later, Grandpa Kenai built a cabin in Huihunbei. I heard from my grandmother that he locked himself in the cabin all day long and saw no one. Until one day, my grandfather died in his cabin with a smile. From that day on, my grandmother started telling mermaid stories in the village and also locked up the wooden house. Romy Ya. Ningyu recalled what he had seen along the way. I understand. No wonder the water on the white sand beach has dried up. No wonder the surrounding scenery is very different from Romy Ya's impression. It turns out that everything has changed, things have changed and people have changed. Li Erpang was puzzled. What treasures are there in the wooden house? In general, most locked places in games have treasure chests. Li Erpang immediately thought of this. Little Kenai shook his head, I don't know either, That was many years ago. When little Kenai was telling this story to a few people, they had already followed the path without monsters to the Huihunbei in the back mountain that Kenai's grandmother said. Huihunbei is close to the Sea of Clouds. Densely packed tombstones stand on the beach. In the Sea of Clouds in the distance, waves of clouds rise and fall, and the tide rises and falls. Some of these tombstones are new, some are old, and some even have the words mottled with the passage of time, making it difficult to see who they are. Surrounded by many tombstones, there is a high slope not far away. A small wooden house covering an area of about 10 square meters, with the door facing the direction of the Sea of Clouds, is quietly sitting on the high slope with no one paying attention. Grandfather's tomb is right up there. Several people walked up the high slope, and Ningyu and the other three noticed that there was a sharp point on the high slope, protruding towards the Sea of Clouds. There is a square tombstone with mottled moss covering its surface, located right at the end of the tip. The tombstone is engraved with grave of late husband Kenai. Kenai. Romiya was in the water bottle, separated by a piece of water, separated by species, separated by life and death, and stared deeply at Kenai's tombstone. But she had 1,000 words, and after she only said one name, she became speechless and choked, and could no longer say the rest of her words. Aside. Ningyu and Li Erpang looked sad. The advent of what love is. Just teach the fish to make a promise of life and death. Li Erpang shook his head. Ningyu sighed again. The farthest distance in the world is not between life and death. Li Erpang understood instantly, and quickly answered, but I am standing in front of you, but I can't have sex with you. Superior. Ningyu suddenly clenched his fists. Little Kenai accidentally overheard the conversation between Ningyu and Li Erpang, but didn't understand it. He forced the rusty key into the keyhole and stirred it repeatedly. Crack, click, click. EY-. The door opened. Li Erpang silently put away his hammer. Seeing little Kenai struggling in front of the lock for a long time, he almost wanted to break the goal in a player's way. No one had visited the cabin for an unknown period of time. The moment the door was opened, a strong musty smell hit the face. The three of them didn't care. They covered their noses and quickly got into the cabin. The furnishings in the wooden house are very simple. The windows are closed, there is a bed and a table inside. In the center of the room, there was a dusty tarpaulin covering a shelf-like object tightly. The eyes of the three adventurers quickly scanned the room. No treasure chests or anything found. The most eye-catching thing is probably the mysterious object covered with a tarpaulin in the center of the room. Xiao Chuer poked Ningyu in the waist with her elbow. Ningyu understood, smiled helplessly, and stepped forward to lift the tarpaulin. Hiss. The moment the tarpaulin was lifted, everyone in the room couldn't help but gasp. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 407. Under the tarp is a painting. The painting depicts a young girl with long pink hair, smiling eyes, and plump cheeks. The most moving and expressive thing is the girl's eyes. The simple colors and strokes make those eyes reveal various emotions such as shyness, affection, and reluctance. The girl's head is covered with a translucent gauze dress, and behind her are boundless clouds and blue water. As the sun rises, the background and the girl in the painting merge perfectly into one, which is breathtaking. So beautiful. Xiao Chuer's eyes were blurred. It's Romiya. Ningyu secretly praised Lao Jina's painting skills and thought, no wonder Lao Jina can make Romiya fall in love with her. It turns out that Lao Jina has this invincible ability to flirt with girls. Awesome. The three of them were in different moods. The moment Romiya in the water bottle saw the painting, she burst into tears. Her tears merged with the water in the bottle, becoming indistinguishable from each other. Kenai. Little Kenai stared blankly at the beauty on the scroll. He vaguely understood the conflicted mood of his grandfather Kenai, but he didn't know what to say at this time. I see. After Nengyu thoroughly understood all the plot of this side mission, he couldn't help but sigh. Who wrote the script? Isn't this the mermaid version of a family ethics drama? He has completely understood all the plot stories. At that time, old Kenai and his wife were already engaged. Maybe it was his parents' matchmaking, or maybe it was for other reasons, but in short, he already had a fiancée who was about to legally get into a car. But at this moment, old Kenai went out to sea to salvage, and fate made him fish out a mermaid instead of the treasure. As the saying goes, humans are not grass and trees, so how can they be ruthless? Days and nights accumulate, and I will talk about it later. After omitting countless stories in the middle, old Kenai fell in love with the innocent mermaid girl again even though he had a fiancée. He fell in love to death and could not extricate himself. After Romeo returned to the giant beast Poseidon, she didn't know that the lifespan of humans and mermaids was so different. She waited day and night, but did not expect Kenai to come. After thinking about it repeatedly, old Kenai felt guilty. In the end, between his fiancée and his mermaid lover, he chose the original promise, chose to grow old together with his original wife, and never saw Romeo again. No wonder old Kenai built the wooden house here. Nengyu glanced out, with a bit of sadness in his eyes. You can see the vast sea of clouds at a glance. He may hope that one day, he can be in the sea of clouds. I saw Romeo floating out of the sea accidentally. Scumbag. Xiao Chuer, however, felt sorry for Romeo who was crying like a fish. From a woman's point of view, she scolded her in a low voice. You can't say that, Nengyu shook his head gently. Sometimes in the world of love, neither party can help themselves, and you can't judge right or wrong based on the results alone. Old Kenai didn't do anything wrong, he just couldn't control it. It's just fate. Didn't he take that step in the end? Commitment and heartbeat, he finally chose to commit. If you insist on saying it, it's just fate that plays a trick on people. If you find another person to vent your anger on, then everything will be the fault of dog planning. Nengyu's words seemed to make sense. After Xiao Chuer cursed, he lowered his head and stopped talking. The corners of Li Er's eyebrows twitched, and his squinted eyelids trembled. What the hell is a game like? Why do you have such a heart-wrenching plot? Does the dog planner think there are not enough blades at home? While he was talking carelessly, he turned around and quietly wiped the corners of his eyes, as if wiping away eye mucus. Dog planning. In the water bottle, Romeo shed tears quietly. Suddenly, she patted the inner wall of the water bottle hard. Let me out. The three of them were startled when they heard this. But you. Xiao Chuer suddenly understood Romeo's plan and looked stunned. Let me out. Romeo repeated what she just said without explaining. Nengyu was silent for a moment, opening and closing his eyes. He touched his trouser pocket out of habit and only uttered one word. Put. Xiao Chuer looked struggling. The mood is complicated and uncomfortable. But this is obviously just a game. Romeo is just an NPC in the game. Xiao Chuer took a deep breath. After all, she was a woman who had experienced great storms and was an apostle. After being pretentious for a while, she suppressed her complicated feelings. Carefully unscrew the cork, and a ray of light spurts out from the narrow mouth of the bottle. The light dissipated, and a wet Romeo appeared in front of everyone. Romeo ignored the others. She was on the ground, moving her fishtail, and slowly crawled towards the tombstone in the distance outside the house. Xiao Chuer couldn't bear it and wanted to step forward to help, but was stopped by Nengyu. Just watch quietly. But Nengyu closed his eyes. As Romeo crawled, the scales on the fish's tail peeled off quickly. There was a crack in the middle of the elegant fish tail. Along that crack, the fishtail was divided into two halves. Under the gaze of everyone, the fishtail gradually evolved into two slender white legs. Change, become a human. Li Erpang tried his best to keep his eyes wide open. Romy Ya stood up with bare feet, but fell down again. After falling, she struggled to stand up again. In this way, Romy Ya, as a mermaid, forcibly transformed into two legs, staged a mermaid evolution history in front of several people, and stumbled to the grave of her late husband Kenai. Romy Ya pressed her cheek softly against Kenai's tombstone. Close your eyes, touch the tombstone, and feel the cold temperature on the tombstone. After a while, Romy Ya smiled slightly, and like magic, took out a thin gauze and covered her head. A hazy gauze is draped on Romy Ya's head. Behind her is an endless sea of clouds. Romy Ya turned around and smiled brightly at the people. I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, but after a few people spent the whole night, it was already early morning, the sun was rising, and the first ray of red and bright rays of light fell on Romy Ya. Romy Ya seemed to be covered with a layer of holy light, her whole body was dimly bathed in the glow, and the gauze on her head reflected the glow, like an epic piece of equipment, dazzling. Little Kenai stood behind several people. This scene made him stunned and unable to say a word. The scene of Romy Ya, covered with gauze, looking back and smiling, is clearly exactly the same as in her grandfather's painting. Even the shy, affectionate, and reluctant smile seems to have been copied live from the beautiful scene in front of her, so lifelike. But there is a difference of decades between the Romea in front of me and the Romea in the painting. Romea had been waiting for decades, but old Kenai spent his whole life in regret and guilt. From black hair to white hair, he imagined the scene of Romea putting on the wedding veil day and night, thinking extremely deep down, I drew that picture. This beautiful smile was completely fixed in everyone's heart. Unknowingly, bubbles appeared on Romy Ya's body. Romy Ya seemed not to know, and smiled, thank you. Thank you for helping me find Kenai. Romy Ya is satisfied to be able to see Kenai. After saying that, Romy Ya lay down in front of the tomb and closed her eyes. Kenai has been waiting for Romy Ya for so long. Romy Ya can't let Kenai wait any longer. Thank you. Goodbye. 3 light spots floated out from the corners of Romy Ya's eyes. The light spot slowly floated in front of Li Erpang, Ning Yu, and Xiao Chuer. The 3 of them had been shocked speechless by the poignant scene in front of them. When the light spot stayed in front of them, they just subconsciously stretched out their hands to catch the light spot in front of them. At this time, there was a ding sound in their ears. Congratulations! Complete the side quest, Mermaid's Wedding. EXP add 200,000. Get gold coins add 12,000 G. Obtain mermaid tears. Romy Ya turned into foam, dispersed with the wind, and disappeared in front of everyone. There was silence for a long time in front of Kenai's tomb, and no one spoke. Xiao Chuer's eyes were already red. Ning Yu silently looked at the properties of mermaid tears, his eyes lit up slightly, but he remembered the whole side mission, but for some reason, he couldn't be happy. Li Erpang, who has always been keen on grinding monsters, collecting treasures and buying equipment, grinned after taking a look at the attributes of mermaid tears, but soon he was scratching his hair in discomfort. I feel so uncomfortable in my heart. Hey, tell me, if we didn't take this mission and let Romy Ya-chan wait foolishly in the mermaid country, would the ending be better? Ning Yu shook his head, who knows? Xiao Chuer turned around and couldn't bear to stay here any longer. Let's go. A few seconds passed. I can't stand it anymore if you don't leave. Oh. Congratulations. Level increased to LV74. Get God-given points. Yilin brushed monsters in the leveling area normally. Goza was listening to the experience. Very happy. Goza never expected that hugging his thigh would be such a happy thing. Tell me earlier. There is nothing wrong with being a dog. This human being is as shameless as ever, and he looks a little bit annoying, but why does the gesture of stabbing a child become more and more pleasing to the eye? Yilin shook her sore arm. He used the fastest efficiency to clear the leveling area. Although the monsters in the leveling area were 3 levels lower than him, ranging from LV69 to LV71, it was so easy to win. Killing a child with one knife is really no pressure for Yilin. With a lot of food, Yilin brutally cleared out a leveling area and accumulated experience, finally allowing him to reach level 74. This upgrade is getting more and more difficult. Yilin swiped her index finger down and opened the panel to take a look. Looking at the increasingly terrifying upgrade experience, she sighed secretly. Habitually open the God's Gift panel and add points. Except for the key God-given points that can be used to obtain God-given skills, Yilin didn't care much about other small God-given points. Adding attributes is ordinary, what's the surprise? But what should be added must still be added. Spirit again. With the special professional bonus, there is no shortage of crystal energy now. Adding spirit seems to be of no use. What spiritual attributes does a dignified assassin need? Yilin suddenly didn't remember that she was no longer a pure assassin. Speaking of which, it's been a long time since there was a God-given point that added spirit. Before I knew it, my spiritual attribute was almost over 10 points. Complaining, Yilin casually poked his finger at the panel. The God-given point suddenly lit up. Spirit add 0.4. Suddenly, Yilin's mind was pounding. As this God-given point clicked up, he felt something in his mind, as if it was pierced by an invisible finger. The penetrating kind. 3 days later. Kingdom of Amalur. The city walls are high. The door is heavily guarded. All NPCs coming in and out have been carefully checked. Beside the city wall, a row of wanted posters were posted on the notice board. A cloaked traveler and a shirtless blacksmith with a dog arrived. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 408. Yilin and Wang Tiandi looked in the direction of the city wall from a distance. The brave man and the dog were both wearing the wanted man's cloak that they had borrowed from the black market in the Twin Lion Kingdom. Although the style of this cloak has the suspicion of there is no 300 taels of silver here. But in the game, there is indeed a function of hiding one's identity. Yilin and Wang Tiandi put it on happily. A man and a dog were standing on the roadside. There is a sign not far away. South Gate of Amara Kingdom. The city gate is half covered. NPCs from outside the Kingdom of Amaro lined up to pass under the inspection of the guards. Among these people are businessmen, salvagers, and adventurers. Yilin squinted her eyes and stared into the distance. With the help of the game system, the identity of the NPC is clear at a glance. The NPCs that have nothing to do with Yilin are all neutral and have yellow names. Among them, there seem to be several NPCs with green names mixed in. Yilin roughly understood why when he saw the costumes of those green-named NPCs. A blacksmith from the Land of Fire. After completing the mission of the Land of Fire, Yilin raised the reputation of the Land of Fire to admired. What is the concept of reputation of worship level? It's equivalent to Yilin being able to do almost anything, do whatever he wants, and do whatever he wants in the village. The idea was even bolder, saying that Kikyo couldn't be made to put on a maid outfit. Ahem, let's not mention this for now. The names on the heads of the guards of the Kingdom of Amaro were all red and purple. Yilin silently opened the reputation interface, glanced at it, sighed, and quietly closed the interface. I wonder if I will have the chance to reduce this hatred value in my lifetime. While sighing, Yilin did not enter the city rashly. The wanted notices for Yilin and the dog were posted all over the bulletin board, as well as high-definition and uncensored photos of the dog with its middle paw raised. How blind a guard must be to be unable to recognize the dog warriors. Where are you? Yilin took out the communication guard and sent the communication. In the past 3 days, although Yilin was busy farming monsters and rushing, she also kept in touch with her teammates. The group chat was established quickly. Li Erpang, damn it, why are you so mean? Yilin, just arrived, at the door, ready to go in. Xiao Chuer, oh. Ning Yu, yeah. Yilin noticed something was wrong with the tone of her teammates. Yilin, what happened to you, are you imprisoned again? Li Erpang. Ning Yu smiled bitterly, it's nothing. I completed a branch of the Mermaid Kingdom before, and the plot was a bit, forget it, let's not mention it. Phew, we are already in now. Yilin did not ask how they sneaked in despite being deeply guarded. Ning Yu has fully demonstrated his ability to dig holes in the Double Lion Kingdom. With his innate skills, it is not difficult to sneak into the kingdom of Amara. How's it going? Not optimistic, Ning Yu didn't know where he was hiding and spoke in a cautious voice, we also came the day before yesterday and entered the city in the dark. We came more than a day before you. There are many red-named NPCs in the city, and they are all hostile forces. The Holy See of Auranos. Yilin used affirmative sentences. After all, in his reputation interface, the only one who could be so red that he issued a wanted order for their group was the Holy See. Yes. The kingdom of Amara should be controlled by the Holy See. It is even more outrageous than Port Izada. There are 12 churches of varying sizes. But fortunately, there are no twin lions in this country. Due to the country's old-fashioned doctrine of chivalry, the reputation value of the Kingdom of Amara and the reputation value of the Holy See seem to be calculated separately, and ordinary residents are shown to have yellow names and are neutral. Churches, 12. When Yilin heard this, she felt dizzy. The purpose of coming to the Kingdom of Amara is not only to find the remaining clues of the 6 evil generals gift pack here, but Yilin must also find the drop of blood of the saint in the church. This country seems to be wider than the Kingdom of 2 Lions on the map. It has a huge city and 12 churches. When will we find this? Thinking of the difficulties, Yilin couldn't help but sigh. Let's talk after we come in. Yilin, Go, and Ge Lang blacksmith entered the city respectively. It goes without saying how Yilin entered the city. Blacksmith Ge Lang was not wanted, so he walked in through the city gate openly and openly. But the way Gozi entered the city made Yilin dumbfounded. Yilin hesitated for a long time at first, thinking that she could just let Gozi go out into the wild and become a wild dog. Unexpectedly, Emperor Wang Tian smiled coldly and rolled his eyes at Yilin. The fluffy dog's tail word, took off on the spot, and easily slipped over the city wall into the city. Damn it! How can a dog fly like this? What skill is this? Is it cheating? Wait a moment. What game plugin can be driven by a dog? Yilin hid in the darkness and was stunned for a long time when she met Gozi. She didn't recover from the shock. But for some reason, he always felt that the scene seemed similar, as if he had seen similar scenes somewhere. Shouldn't it be in some movie with a weird plot? A thought flashed through Yilin's mind. But no matter what, people, dogs, and blacksmiths all entered the city safely. As Ning Yu said, there are red-named NPCs wandering around the city. The architectural style in the city is a bit like medieval Gothic architecture. There are towering spears lined up in the city. Outside the church, pillars carved with patterns stand solemnly, and pointed arches can be seen everywhere. The colorful flower windows are engraved with ancient paintings of gods, which reveal the sacredness and solemnity everywhere, making people involuntarily have the urge to worship. Enclose. The houses in residential areas are also made of piles of various stones. The neat stone bricks look like they were cut by machines. The lines are straight, full of strength and sense of lines. In addition to the Gothic-style buildings, steam is rising everywhere in the city, and there seem to be many steam machines that are unique to the game's worldview. Yilin stood high and looked into the distance. The 12 churches mentioned by Ningyu are not difficult to identify. After squinting for a while, Yilin muttered to herself. Ningyu actually said it wrong. There are actually 13 churches in the kingdom of Umla. It consists of 12 sub-churches, laid out according to the clock time, distributed at the 12 points of the circle. The spire at the center of the palace is actually a church, but because of the different architectural styles, Ningyu did not count it in. This is clearly a country solidified by theocracy. The 12 Sons Church, and the most central Mother Church, should be an important part of the art of the entire country. But the lines and composition of the technique are hidden. Even I, as a great engineer, cannot see through the effect of the entire technique at a glance. Is it a defense-focused technique like Port Izada? Or, other types? Yilin thought for a while and couldn't come up with an answer. Half an hour later. In a shabby tavern, Yilin successfully reunited with her teammates. Although there are many red-named NPCs in the city, the Kingdom of Umla is a very large city with a population of nearly 500,000. There are 4 main city gates alone. As long as you enter and hide in the residential area, even if the city is full, the red-named NPC is not easy to find the brave team. That's how it is when it's hidden in the city. Do you know the location of the 6 evil generals? Ningyu nodded. Well, there is a plot in the Mermaid Kingdom. The Mermaid Queen Saren once showed us the positions of the 6 evil generals. Talk about it? Yilin took a sip of the low-quality distilled wine. To be honest, it didn't taste very good. Fortunately, the degree is low, so if you drink a little bit, you won't enter the negative state of drunkenness. Ningyu carefully recalled what he saw in the eye of Poseidon at that time. Then he said slowly. There are 6 giant beasts in this game world. Let's think of them as 6 big maps. Poseidon doesn't. There is one on Aurora. Oh, by the way, you have already solved it. Boss has diarrhea, Yilin emphasized humbly. Li Erpang. Xiao Chuer. Ahem, Ningyu coughed twice and believed it for the time being. There are 2 on Poros, 1 on Pagos, and 1 on Iros. Having said this, Ningyu frowned slightly. The last 6 evil generals boss is a bit weird. As soon as Yilin heard the word weird, she became interested. Why is it weird? The location of the boss we were looking at was on the back of the giant wind beast, Ilos. There were 2 of them. But after you killed the boss, shortly after the lights went out, one of the ones on Iros, the 6 evil generals are moving quickly in the sea of clouds. Li Erpang shook his head and interjected, I reasonably speculate that that fast-moving light is probably a boss flying in the sky. Flying in the sky, Yilin pondered for a moment and muttered to herself, it's not easy to handle. It's not that easy to clear this game. Ningyu smiled, but as the level increases, these bosses will definitely be able to be killed in the end. Just be careful and don't die halfway. The game is designed. The boss is destined to be killed by the players. Xiao Chuer leaned lazily on the backrest, her expression waning, and she seemed to have no interest in the discussion between the 2. Yilin noticed that Xiao Chuer was in a low mood and couldn't help but ask, what is the branch plot you did before? Ningyu sighed and told Yilin the process of the mermaid wedding side mission without hiding anything. After hearing this, Yilin felt sad. However, he had not personally experienced this story, and other than feeling sad, he did not have any strong emotions. After a while, Ningyu concluded, since there are 2 6 evil generals on Boros, the most likely place to find clues to the 6 evil generals should be in the kingdom of Amara. After all, there are many NPCs and many tasks, so you will always encounter them. Yes. I suggest that we split up carefully in the city and let each other know as soon as there is news. Xiao Chuer and Li Erpang agreed. Yilin stood up and prepared to take action. He has one more task than others: to collect the blood of the saint. It is said that with great ability comes great responsibility. This is the difficulty of being brave. Finally, before splitting up, Yulin put on the hood of her cloak and suddenly remembered something. By the way, there's one thing I don't know whether to talk about or not. While completing side quests in the Land of Fire, I accidentally encountered one of the 6 evil generals. I guess you won't believe it when I say that the boss is upset. But the truth is that the boss was in a weak state when I touched it. Yulin looked at everyone with sincere eyes. Then, I accidentally killed the boss. After all, he is weak, so if he doesn't kill him, it will be useless. So, actually, there is only one of the 6 evil generals left on Boros. Come on, don't accidentally brush it off again. After thinking about it, Yulin made a come-on gesture with her fists and encouraged. Awesome. After saying that, Yulin left the tavern. In situ, Li Erpang, Ning Yu, and Xiao Chuer were stunned. Emperor Wang Tian was also stunned. I don't even know this. The 3 elite players finally reacted. Oh, your sister. There seems to be something wrong with this chapter number. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 409. At the same time. Kingdom of Amalur. Royal Palace. Steeple. Top layer. Li Chang'e was from a high position, overlooking all living beings. At this moment, the world was at his feet. This is an interesting world. Here, it is like a gorgeous stage, a stage that is most suitable for me. It seems like something is missing. Li Chang'e suddenly lowered his head. After a moment of silence, he smiled. There was a hint of regret hidden in the smile. Lack of lighting, lack of music, lack of director, lack of special effects, lack of makeup artist. It seems like there hasn't been an announcement for a long time. When Li Chang'e lamented the past, there was a slight tremor in his arms. Seeing no one around, Li Chang'e took out the flask containing the black energy. What else are you trying to do? In the flask, black air surged, but it was difficult to taste the emotion. Another one died. Li Chang'e waved his hand nonchalantly. Just die, what's the big deal? Isn't the boss designed to be killed by others? Black Chi was silent for a while. I don't know if that silence was due to recognition or speechlessness. After a while, the hoarse voice came from the flask again. How do you know for sure that they will eventually come here? Ha, Li Chang'e smiled lightly. This is the general trend. Oh. That's what the mission means. In short, this game world is too big and we can't find them. So we can just wait for them to come to our door where they must pass. Remember our agreement. Don't worry. Everything is under my control. In fact, the power of this world is so weak, what's the use of resurrection? Destroy the world? Destroy mankind? In fact, these small things can be done without resurrection, so why bother? Why bother? Forget it, it's just a setting, Li Chang'e muttered in a low voice. Although Heiki's character is a level higher than that of ordinary NPCs. Know that these people are outsiders to the world, but in the end, they are still trapped in this world and cannot transcend the world. No matter how powerful the boss is, they are just pathetic creatures. Our levels are completely different. Think of this. Li Chang'e couldn't help humming an ancient song. I have crossed mountains and seas. Also passing through the sea of people. Everything I've ever had. In the blink of an eye, it all disperses like smoke, ha ha, ha ha ha, ha, ha ha. As he sang, Li Chang'e was nervous and laughed intermittently. The singing sounded cheerful. After 1 hour, Yulin easily avoided the red-named NPC wandering around the city. Although the level of guards in the kingdom of Amara is generally not high. 1 knife at a time. If 1 knife doesn't work, then 2. There are many advantages. The city is densely packed with red-named NPCs, which is so spectacular that it makes one's scalp numb. Is it really worthy of the Holy See's sphere of influence? Speaking of which, the Holy See's hatred value is really inexplicable. Yilin sighed. During this hour, Yilin rolled a wheel on the street. The city is so big that Yilin can't cover all the corners in an hour. Yilin originally wanted to see what role the city's large-scale magic spells played. But after walking around, Yilin found that unless he stood at the highest point and took in the entire city's layout, it would be difficult to get a full view of the entire technique. During this period, Yilin also passed by several churches. There are followers of Auranos praying inside. In every church, there is a statue of the goddess Auranos. Apart from this, there were no other special findings. It seems that if there is really a blood drop of the saint here, it can only be there. Yilin raised her head. Looking at the tallest spire in the center of the city, he smiled kindly. The words are divided into two parts. Amara Central Avenue. 3 people and 1 dog, sneaking around. Not long ago, large steam transport vehicles slowly entered the city. Inside one of the transport vehicles was a large fish tank filled with clear water. On the other transport vehicle was a stainless steel prison vehicle with people inside. The citizens of Amaro looked dull, and with the intervention of the guards, they all gave way to a wide avenue. As those large transport steam vehicles entered the city, the citizens whispered. That water tank contains the legendary mermaid, right? So beautiful. It is said that those hateful mermaids have always occupied precious water sources. Have you heard that not long ago, the demon wanted by the Holy See destroyed the mermaid kingdom in Poseidon? I heard that the Pope personally led the army of God and saved that country. Damn devil! Damn devil! But since it was the Pope who saved them, why is the mermaid wearing a collar on his neck? You don't understand. Have you heard about it? The legendary mermaids look good, but they are actually evil creatures that can confuse people's hearts. Once you listen to their songs, you will become their puppets and escape for the rest of your life. Not open. Ah, that's terrible. The terrifying mermaid tribe, but in the face of such a terrifying race, the Pope actually saved them. He is truly the spokesperson of God. But it's so beautiful. If I could. SHHH. Don't look. Mermaids are evil creatures. You might go blind if you look at them twice. Hiss. Auranos is here. Auranos is here. There's another car behind. Look, that's a cage. There are people inside. Their costumes are so weird. That pointy hat is so funny. You are so old, are you also a prisoner? That should be the case. I have a friend who is a member of the Holy See Army. He secretly told me that His Majesty the Pope searched the Sea of Clouds for several months in order to destroy the legendary demon pretending to be the brave Dot. If my guess is correct, the person locked in the cage should be the devil's accomplice. The devil must die. The devil must die. The public opinions of citizens gathered into one voice. Grass. Li Erpang hid in the crowd, listening to the discussions of the citizens, and suddenly became angry. It's Syrian. Xiao Chuer grabbed Li Erpang, who was about to rush out and start killing people. He leaned into Li Erpang's ear and lowered his voice and said, "Don't be impulsive. This plot development is not right." Ningyu closed his eyes helplessly. It should be him. Should be. But does he naively think that we will stand up for a mere NPC? Xiao Chuer shook her head helplessly and nodded. You and I can't do it. But there are people who might do it. As he spoke, Xiao Chuer nuzzled at Li Erpang, who was extremely angry. Ningyu suddenly realized. It turns out that the other party had such a plan. After a while, Ningyu and Xiao Chuer figured out Li Changa's idea. I couldn't help but look at each other and said in unison, "It's so insidious. I didn't expect you to be such a gag." Wait, is that engineer? Ning Yu once heard from Yilin that he received a lot of care from the Engineer Academy on the Aurora Titan Beast. When does the protagonist usually turn on the halo? It's nothing more than the daughter living in a dog house, the wife being cheated on, the engagement being broken off, being slapped in the face, relatives and friends being killed, the girlfriend being hugged by the senior brother and saying very smooth and so on. At this time, the protagonist is furious, the small universe explodes, and kills everyone in and out of the villain's den. Normally, Ning Yu would be happy to see this unfolding, and it might be able to further advance the plot. But not now. In this scene, it is obvious that Li Chang'e is behind the scenes. If Yilin, the protagonist, really follows the usual bloody routine and kills him, wouldn't he just fall into the opponent's trap? In this trial, Ning Yu and Xiao Chuer have worked hard to be teammates of the protagonist Yilin, and they have reached a point where they can't afford to fail to improve their favorability and presence. All his chips are placed on the protagonist, hoping that the protagonist can successfully reach the end and pass the game. If something happens to the protagonist at this time and dies midway, it will really be a loss of blood. Xiao Chuer was asked to quickly calm down the surging emotions of the little fat man. Ning Yu did not dare to delay, so he quickly took out the communication crystal and called Yilin. Ning Yu was just thinking about what rhetorical techniques to use to explain this matter properly. Yilin spoke first in a calm tone. You want to tell me that both the NPC from the Mermaid Country and the NPC from the University of Engineering were captured, right? Ning Yu was stunned. Did you see it? Yes, I'm not blind. How could I not see such a vast thing? Are you worried that I will be impulsive and do something stupid? Well. Ning Yu wanted to say, it's really true. Don't worry, Yilin smiled, I'm not a fool. But it's obvious that the other party is determined to stand on the opposite side of our team for some reason. Ning Yu was silent. Yilin's words hit the point directly. This is something Ning Yu has always wondered about. They are both apostles. Why did Li Chang'e target them in a trial where there was no reason for opposition? Just for the final review. After killing everyone, he naturally becomes the strongest? Not so. According to the apostles' usual way of doing things, there is no absolute certainty and no clear constraints on confrontation tasks. Generally speaking, he will not completely break his face in the trial. No need. Once the roots cannot be eradicated in the trial, returning to the real world will be a huge hidden danger. Therefore, even if the relationship between the apostles is hurt behind the scenes, it will not break up openly. At least on the surface, it looks like everyone is happy and happy good friends. Li Chang'e's way of doing things is not quite right. But Ning Yu really couldn't figure out why. Of course it's best if you think so. The first task now is to find out the information about the 6 evil generals and see if they can be killed easily. Then kill the 6 evil generals quickly and clear the level. Understood, ha. Yilin chuckled again. Laugh. Bo. Ning Yu just breathed a sigh of relief. Suddenly, he noticed that something seemed wrong with the voice on the other side of the communication crystal. Thinking back on it, Yilin's place was too quiet just now. It's not like being in a huge crowd at all. At this moment, an ominous premonition arose in Ning Yu's heart. Wait, what are you doing now? Aren't you on Amara's Central Avenue? I'm killing monsters. Yilin said calmly and matter-of-factly. Spawn monsters. Ning Yu was stunned. Where does this strange thing come from in the city? But within 3 seconds, Ning Yu suddenly understood. Congratulations. Your team successfully killed Captain of the Godi 5th Division Eisen. The reputation of the Holy See of Uranus -1000. Please keep up the good work. Congratulations. Your team successfully killed Self-Defense Officer Bill of the Godi 5th Squadron. The reputation of the Holy See of Uranus -1000. Please keep up the good work. Congratulations. Your team successfully killed Sister-in-Chief Edith of the Goti 5th Division. The reputation of the Holy See of Uranus -1000. Yilin smiled kindly while killing. In the communication crystal, Yilin's relaxed and cheerful voice came faintly. I won't mess around. I just kindly reminded him that I'm here. A little nun with the round buttocks carefully handed the hot black tea to His Majesty the Pope. Back off. Li Chang'e looked at the attractive buttocks. If in normal times. Never mind. I'm not in the mood now. Li Chang'e looked at the city from a distance, took a sip of hot black tea and tasted it carefully. On the ground. The straight central avenue, crowded with people, split into two sides. In the middle of the avenue, steam machines holding prisoners slowly passed by under the escort of countless guards. Is that why you're sure they'll turn themselves into a trap? In the flask, the black air sneered. Li Chang'e smiled, it doesn't matter, although I don't think people like them will be affected by outsiders. But what if they are stupid? In these game worlds, if you kill people, do you want to kill them? Is it important whether you can get any results? Not important, right? Li Chang'e asked and answered himself. And even if they come, they will never show up in a big way. I know them very well, and no one knows them better than me. What kind of people they are, what kind of creatures they are, and what kind of people they are, a bunch of old guys. Anyway, I just need to make an announcement. At this time tomorrow, I will collect this wave of experience points, no, destroy this wave of people and mermaids. Whether they come or not, that's their business. It's good if they come. If you don't come, I'll just keep waiting, there are always other ways. Actually, this is a very simple logic. Li Chang'e took a sip and said with a smile, I now realize that I don't have to chase them at all. I only need to know their final destination, and then set up a dragnet and quietly just wait for them to be delivered to your door. Li Ying is so simple and happy. In the flask, the black air that had been silent and the hoarse voice suddenly became weird. Are you sure that the they you call won't show up in a big way? Definitely not, I'm sure. Open your eyes. What? Li Chang'e had been sipping black tea with his eyes closed in order to brew his emotions and create a strong impression. After listening to Black Chi's suggestion, Li Chang'e opened his eyes in confusion. But when he opened it, his eyes immediately became round. Far away. Thick smoke billowed out from one of the 12 sub-churches, where Godi's 5th unit was stationed. After a moment of stunned silence, Li Chang'e finally came to his senses. What the hell? When the city guards rushed towards the smoking Vatican branch, the place was already deserted and empty. This building is really empty. Except for the civilians who were scared away, all members of the Holy See were killed and burned until not even ashes were left. After Li Erpang and others learned that Yilin had started killing people, they were so frightened that they hid quickly and no longer dared to wander around the city searching for information. Although Li Erpang was also very angry, when he recalled the scene in the Twin Lion Kingdom where the city was full of red monsters, he instantly became less angry. He didn't dare. You kill me, can you come closer? We didn't get any experience points. Ning Yu never expected that Yilin would do it right away. So decisive. So quickly. But later he figured it out. In fact, whether Yilin takes action or not has no impact on the overall situation. The opponent's game has been laid out, waiting for them to come. If he doesn't play his cards according to common sense, he might be able to catch Li Chang'e off guard. It's so difficult to be on the same team as the protagonist. Ning Yugu stayed in the corner, looking up to the sky and sighing. There was brief chaos in the city. After Yilin killed a wave of people, he disappeared in front of everyone like air. The 4 city gates were tightly closed. Don't give in, don't give out. The entire Amara Kingdom city has turned into a cage. Of course, it would not be difficult for Yilin and Ning Yu to go out. But the task was not completed, and they could not go out. This puts us in a dilemma. Until night, countless guards were still patrolling the streets and alleys. Thanks to Gozi and Nengyu acting together, whenever something happens, Gozi can detect it in time with his sensitive sense of smell and hearing. He works very hard as a conscientious dog. Really worthy of being a dog. Yilin was alone, holding a knife and walking in the shadows. Silent. After massacring a Vatican team in a demonstration, Yilin completely disappeared from the sight of others. Taking advantage of the darkness, Yilin came to the prison. It seems that every city has a prison. A prison used to imprison famous players. It's a pity that in this game now, they are the only players left. The prison cannot imprison players, but is used to imprison NPCs, which is extremely ironic. The dark and damp underground prison is tightly guarded. Yilin had no expression on her face as she fought her way through. The LV-70 guards are of a very high level. But for Yilin, there was no pressure at all. The corpses everywhere turned into Yilin's experience points. A bright golden light fell on Yilin's head. Oh, it's actually been upgraded. The experience of killing enemy NPCs is really rich. In the darkness, Yilin let out an inexplicable sneer. It was originally a welcome moment to upgrade, but Yilin didn't have the slightest thought to open the God's Gift interface to add points. He walked silently through the empty cells. Chi chi chi. In the empty cell, strange cries could be heard from time to time in all directions. It sounded like a group of mice, naked, having a meeting in a corner. Finally, Yilin stopped in front of one of the cell doors. In the darkness, 4 old men in ragged clothes were faintly visible, their bodies covered with scars. The scars, the blood has not dried yet, they are very fresh. The unhealed wound was stuck together with the engineer's robe full of tears, and the flesh and blood were blurred. It seemed that any random movement would involve the wound, causing the 4 old men to squat in the corner, not daring to make any big moves. At the door of the cell, there was a dirty basin with some moldy bread crumbs scattered in it. Yilin exhaled slowly. He put away the question mark divine sword, and made a strong pulling motion with both hands in front of the iron bars of the cell. Ka. Following Yilin's movements, the iron fence, which was as thick as a thumb, actually bent, creating a gap that could easily accommodate one person passing through. The movement at the cell door finally made the 4 old men raise their heads. Yilin. Aden was squatting in the corner. He used the dim light and squinted his eyes to finally recognize Yilin. Yes. This movement seemed to cause pain. Aden yelled ouch, for a while. After regaining his breath, he looked at the twisted iron fence in surprise. With his eyes, it was not difficult to see that this was not caused by the power of any spell. Damn, what kind of magic is this? Yilin, who had always had a sullen face, finally laughed when she heard Aden's words. Nonsense, this is science, you have to believe in science. Aden and Yilin stared at each other for a while. Both of them laughed in unison. After being ridiculous for a while, Aden quickly lowered his voice. Hush, there are a lot of guards from the Holy See here. Yilin stopped smiling and shook her head. It doesn't matter. I have convinced them and they said they have no objection. When Aden heard this, he was immediately dumbfounded. Persuade. How to convince? Yilin chatted with Aden for a few words. He glanced at the faces of the 4 old men one by one, and suddenly frowned. Where's Dean A. Gump? Referring to Gandalf. Died. The smile suddenly disappeared from Aden's face. Where's the academy? The 4 old men looked at each other in the darkness. On the other side, Ame sneered in a low voice and said 2 words. Gone. 2 words, everything is said. Yilin was silent for a moment. So you drove me away that day just to protect me. Fart, Aden breathed a little faster and denied, you little bastard, You emptied our college's crystal warehouse before you left. If we don't drive you away, will our college still have it? I just want to drive you away. No other reason. Yilin's eyes flashed. He was silent for another moment and did not continue to dwell on this topic. I'll take you away. As he spoke, Yilin thought, and the four old men slowly floated up. Including Eden, the four once high-spirited engineers all stared at this strange scene. The move Yilin performed was completely beyond the scope of spells. There are no magic spells or any crystal energy as a driving force. They felt like there was an extra little hand under their buttocks, holding them up in the air. But the initiator of all this, Yilin, looked as usual, with extremely calm eyes, which was in sharp contrast to the shocked expressions of the four old men. You still dare to say this is science? This is science. Yilin didn't know how to explain it. Don't move. If you get us out now, you will kill us. Do you want to destroy the army for justice? Adeng pointed to his own neck. On the necks of the four old men, there was a neck cuff full of patterns. There are no chains on the cuffs connected to the surroundings, they are just like accessories. Yilin hadn't noticed it before, but when Adeng pointed at the cuffs around his neck, he carefully identified it for a while, but his pupils shrank and his brows furrowed. Conflict spell. Who did it? Adeng coughed a few times and laughed. This is the six relatives don't recognize decapitation technique. Unless it is unlocked with a specific magic key, otherwise we only need to leave. Those who hold the magic key, even if they are separated by different giant beasts, can also be started by remote control, when the time comes our heads. Adeng gestured with his hand to cut off his head, his expression helpless. Yilin was speechless. Why did you do such a cruel thing for nothing? Who knew this thing would be locked around my neck one day? Yilin recognized the effect of this technique and knew in her heart that Adeng was not joking. So he could only stop his power and carefully put the four old men back to their original places. Where's the key? Hey, it's in the hands of the Pope, Emperor Augustus Anthony. It's him. Yilin lowered his head, pondered for a moment, and said, I will wrong you first, and I will rescue you later. No, I'm old, it won't be a bad thing if I die. Don't forget that you still have your mission. The mission. Yilin laughed and cursed. Before Yilin left, she discovered that there was a large transparent water tank placed in one of the cells. A graceful mermaid swims slowly in the water. When Yilin passed by. But she stopped Yilin. Your Majesty the Brave. Yilin heard the sound and looked back at the mermaid. Mermaid Queen Saren. LV75. After Yilin's level is improved, many NPCs are no longer question marks, and it is indeed comfortable. You know me. Saren smiled slightly. Before you came to this world, I already knew your existence. Prophecy. Saren nodded. Yilin looked at the six relatives do not recognize decapitation style also locked around the other person's neck, and said helplessly, you should have heard what I said to the old men. I can't untie that thing on your neck for the time being. Otherwise, for the sake of respect from the Mermaid Kingdom, Yilin would have saved her as well. No need. This is our fate, and I accepted peacefully. Syrian's smile was light and calm, as if she didn't care about her own life or death. The breath of darkness is just above here. Saren pointed to the top of her head. 6 evil generals. Yilin understood Syrian's words instantly. It seems that this NPC is not simple. Saren nodded. Before Yilin left, Saren swam to the edge of the water tank and pressed her fists on her plump chest. Your Excellency Auranos, Saren saluted Yilin. Your Excellency, the brave man, say goodbye to my old friend Ge Lang for me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Xueshi. Chapter 410. This kid is crazy. Li Erpangu was in the corner, cautiously sticking his head out, looking at the NPC army searching for the brave team in the distance, and he was so frightened that he suddenly retracted his head into the shadows and muttered to himself. Ningyu frowned and said, "He doesn't seem to be such a motivated person." Xiao Chuer was even more puzzled, "It's just an NPC. There's no need for this, right?" Ningyu glanced at Xiao Chuer and said in a low voice, "Hey, who was so sad because of the mermaid love story before?" "It's different," Xiao Chuer was slapped in the face, feeling ashamed and annoyed. "Lo Mi Ya is much more pitiful, okay? Besides, women can't stand this kind of bloody plot." Just when the three of them didn't know what to do and were about to discuss the next step. However, Yilin slowly walked out of the shadows and came behind several people. "I'm not crazy." Shenji Onsusu smiled slightly, looked at Yilin, and said softly, "As expected of you." "Yilin, how do you make it sound like I know you very well?" Yilin slowly typed a question mark. An idea flashed through his mind, but didn't delve into it. Yilin handed the 4 parchments to Ningyu, Xiao Chuer, Wang Tiandi, and Li Erpang respectively. "Here are 4 maps of the kingdom of Amalur." Li Erpang casually opened the map and took a look. "What the hell? Where did you get the map? Aren't there guards guarding the door of the store?" "Don't worry about details like this." Yilin shook his head, looked calm, and said quickly, "Each of you has some places marked on your map." The 3 people and 1 dog heard this and opened the map. Really? Just as Yilin said, their 4 maps all had quite a few locations marked with very eye-catching crosses. 10 seconds later, Li Erpang looked left and right. He didn't understand what Yilin meant by this move. Ningyu and Xiao Chuer looked at Yilin. Their hearts are clear. Since the protagonist has taken action, it means that either the protagonist is preparing to cheat, or there is a plot about to happen. Regardless of what happens next, what the protagonist Yilin said must be very important. "I got reliable information." Yilin saw the looks of 3 people and 1 dog, and explained without hiding anything, "One of the 6 evil generals is hiding in the palace of the kingdom of Umla. Don't worry, listen to me." Finished. Yilin took a deep breath and continued, "This should be an important stronghold of the Holy See. The level of hostile NPCs is higher than imagined. The palace must be full of heavy soldiers, and there may even be someone better than Homeros. A higher level elite NPC. That's reasonable." Ningyu nodded. Courageous and resourceful, Xiao Chuer praised. Li Erpang was silent for a moment and said weakly, "Should I say something now to match your lines?" "No, just shut up." Yilin, Ningyu, and Xiao Chuer spoke in unison and denied Li Erpang's idea. "Oh." Li Erpang closed his mouth happily and stopped expressing his opinion. After the little fat man shut up obediently, Yilin told him his plan in details. Ningyu and Xiao Chuer listened quietly to the entire plan, subconsciously not believing it. After all, Yilin deceived his teammates to benefit himself, not once or twice. Simply more apostle than apostle. More gangster than gangster. More insidious than Lao Yinbai. He is indeed the protagonist who is riddled with luck in this trial. But after careful consideration, Ningyu and Xiao Chuer didn't find anything wrong. "Are you sure this will work?" Ningyu asked cautiously. Yilin nodded, without any change in his expression or any fluctuation in his eyes. "The other party should be very clear about our purpose. As we originally imagined, the Holy See of Uranus should play a role in the game world villain's role. In this case, there is a high possibility that the 6 evil generals are hiding in the Holy See. I have already eliminated 2 of the 6 evil generals. Although the process was somewhat coincidental, with a bit of luck involved. But the 6 evil generals' bosses, the abilities are a bit weird. If you rush in rashly, it will be easy for the whole team to tell you where they are. There's nothing wrong with that. No one else has ever seen the 6 evil generals. The whole thing was wiped out by the protagonist. Yilin said that Liuxi will be awesome, then he is really awesome and very convincing. But why did you kill 2 of the bosses that you said were so awesome? Thinking of this, Ningyu and Xiao Chuer had strange expressions and hesitated to speak. But in the end, the 2 of them didn't say what they were thinking, and nodded in agreement. Then, Operation Destroying 6 begins. After 1 hour. Kingdom of Amara, East District of the city. A dog ran wildly in the alley with a parchment roll in its mouth. Wanted criminal found. It's the brave dog. Kill it. Extra meal tonight. Kill. Behind Guzi, a group of well-equipped guards, as if they had never eaten dog meat in a pot in a few lifetimes, were chasing after Wang Tiandi. Woof. Wang Tiandi fiercely raised his middle finger behind him. The dozens of Amara guards chasing behind him couldn't help but be stunned when they saw the outrageous middle finger gesture and the lively expression of the scumbag. They originally thought that the middle finger on the wanted poster was deliberately added by the artist in order to mobilize the enthusiasm of the guards and arouse the anger of the people. Who would have thought that a mere dog could actually make such a weird gesture as the middle finger? Even the NPCs find it outrageous. Emperor Wang Tian ran very fast. It turns out that it is extremely stupid for a 2-legged creature to race against a 4-legged creature. Wang Tiandi's posture was flexible and his posture was appropriate, and he was running wildly in the alley. Finally, Guzi vandalized public property along the way, leaving a mess on the ground. While being chased by the guards, he came to one of the churches in the East District of the city. At the door of the church, people have been waiting for a long time. In the distance, a handsome young man in a straight uniform with short blue hair, holding a one-handed sword, slowly opened his eyes in front of the church door. Captain of the Godai 10th Division Toshiro. LV? Emperor Wang Tian looked at boss from a distance and smiled coldly. In the blink of an eye, under the gaze of everyone, Emperor Wang Tian swung his tail and spiraled into the sky. Woof, woo, woof, woo. Emperor Wang Tian was like a heavenly dog in the sky, with his claws gathered at his waist. A terrifying momentum silently gathered between Wang Tian Emperor's claws. Oh! Interesting. Toshiro, the captain of the Godai 10 division, had his blue eyes flashing slightly. He looked at the strange creature spiraling into the sky, and slowly pulled out his one-handed sword. It was a long blue sword. The moment the long sword was pulled out, the temperature of the surrounding space dropped sharply. Around Toshiro, as the sword began to move, cold white frost spread and spread everywhere, with Toshiro as the center. It was as if the space was completely frozen by the handsome young man's long sword. Sitting upright, Toshiro seemed to be planning to say something to start the conversation. But he hasn't finished speaking yet. Woof. The dog's voice was louder than his. Wang Tiandi pushed forward with both palms, and an invisible force struck out. Bang. Rumble. In an instant, a deep pit in the shape of a dog's paw was left on the top of the spire at the Holy See. One more second. The church steeple collapsed. After Guzi slapped him, he had no intention of staying to defeat the boss. The corner of Wang Tiandi's mouth curved up in an evil and savage arc. He knocked a large bottle of crystal energy into his mouth, wagging his tail, spiraling into the air, and quickly fled towards the distance. Everyone, including Toshiro, was stunned on the spot. Quite a while. Toshiro sighed softly. It turns out dogs can fly. Amara Kingdom, South District. Catch that fat guy. He is the companion of the brave. Where's the brave man? Didn't see it. Then kill the hero's comrades first. Damn it, why do you have to kill the hero's companions when the hero is not around? Wait a minute, that's not the problem. Why is he a brave man and we are friends? Which dog planner made the setting? The bias is too obvious. Li Erpang dragged his body weighing 200 pounds and ran away like crazy. He blocked the shield in front of him and used Bull Crash to break out of the encirclement. Once you're held back, it's going to be the end of the world if you enter the turn system. Li Erpang didn't dare to fight. He knew very well that with the direction of his points addition, if he was dragged into the turn system, no one would be able to kill anyone. What if his battle with the NPC guards lasted until dusk, then dawn, dusk, dawn again? Li Erpang couldn't imagine this kind of turn-based system where no one could kill anyone and he couldn't escape. How will it end? This kind of battle will be very exciting. Fortunately, he clicked on the map skill Bull Crash while he was upgrading. This skill is specially designed to rush away monsters in the wild and rush on your way. Li Erpang is usually keen on killing monsters and rarely uses this kind of skill with special effects. But now that I use it, it smells so good. After Li Erpang smashed a decorative stone statue on the roadside with a hammer, he ran wildly and took out a map to confirm the next destroyed location. Why does that kid Mao want us to cause havoc in the city? Crack the cave in the west? Hang the house away from the mountain? But since it was a plan and he couldn't figure it out, Li Erpang still risked his life to carry out his mission. Go, go, go. Divine Sword Susu followed closely behind Li Erpang with a thoughtful expression. North of the city. West of the city. The kingdom of Amalur is in complete chaos. The three heroes' friends and the hero's dog were crazy about destroying various buildings in the kingdom. When you see someone, you run away. When you see a house, you demolish it. When you see a door, you knock on it. When you see. All in all, the brave gangsters are very brutal. The guards were wearing heavy armor and were far less agile than their opponents, and the city was too big. It would not be easy to completely surround just 4 targets in a short while. The hatred value of NPC guards gradually increases. This kind of behavior is undoubtedly a slap in the face, and it makes a loud slap. The lines of the guards chasing each other gradually converged into the same sentence. The brave dog must die. At night. Dogs and friends are still spreading love and justice around the city. If anyone is looking down at the whole city at this time, he can clearly see smoke floating everywhere in the 4 districts of Umla Kingdom, which is very spectacular. They seem to be working very hard. Yilin condescended and nodded with satisfaction. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 411. The Top of the Palace. Steeple. Li Chang'e was crowned king and sat alone on the throne, silent. Looking outside, the kingdom of Amara was filled with fire, smoke, shouts and chaos in every corner. In Chengdong district, a crazy dog flew in the sky. In the southern district of the city, a wretched fat man, with his partner, rampaged around and destroyed everything. In the west area of the city, the ground, buildings, and stone statues collapsed strangely. The good-looking Pope sculpture suddenly turned into a naked male statue. In the northern district of the city, countless guards were inexplicably moved and fell in love, unable to extricate themselves. I watched helplessly as a beautiful girl passed by each building and whipped the door with a small leather whip with a smile on her face. The palace was heavily guarded by countless soldiers. At a glance, there are all red names and layers of heads, as if using the human C tactic to cover every floor. It seems that they want to block the progress of some people in this way and never let any slip through the net. Fish. The strange thing is that there are no guards around Li Chang'e sitting on the top of the tower. A strange shadow moved freely on the outer wall of the tower, no one noticed it, and no one could stop it. With the diffusion of perception, everything around him is simply clearer to Yilin than what he can see with the naked eye, and everything is under his control. But something's still wrong. Yilin easily used Shadow Kill, turned into a shadow, and climbed up from the outer wall to the top floor. Everything went so smoothly. Apart from the obstacles encountered by the little fat man and others in their sabotage operations in the city, things went incredibly smoothly on his side. Although his two skill combinations are indeed weird enough. But things went so smoothly that Yilin felt a little inconsistent. Arriving at the top floor, Yilin found that the strange player who had been biting them since the beginning was sitting on the throne in a pose that was so pretentious that it deserved a beating. Wearing gorgeous robes and costumes, and wearing a crown studded with crystals, Yilin had every reason to doubt that this was a piece of equipment with powerful attributes. There were no guards around. After a moment of silence in the darkness, Yilin suddenly chuckled, lifted the shadow state, and walked out of the darkness. Li Chang'e raised his head. The light was dim, making it difficult to see Li Chang'e's expression. But at this moment, Yilin could clearly read a sly smile from the mottled shadows. "You're still here. Hand over the key to the technique." Yilin flicked her wrist, and two daggers suddenly appeared in her hands, red and green, invisible. Oh! Hearing this, Li Chang'e seemed to have heard a world-class joke. First his eyes widened with disbelief, and then he burst into laughter with tears in his eyes. "Ha ha ha ha, you actually, ha ha ha, no way, no way, no way. You actually asked me to get the key to the spell. The keys to those NPC neck cuffs? Ha ha ha, wait a minute, you let me laugh a little longer." After laughing for a full minute, Li Chang'e rubbed his eyes on the throne, and seemed to finally catch his breath. Then he looked at Yilin again with a scrutinizing gaze. The corners of his mouth were still twitching, and he said, "But this shouldn't be the case. What is your real purpose? Are you so naive that you think I will believe what you say?" Yilin remained silent. This feeling comes again. The tone and way the other person spoke seemed to be very familiar to Yilin. Before the other party revealed more information that Yilin wanted to know, Yilin simply responded to the changes with silence to see if the other party would reveal anything more. The only confrontation between Yilin and Li Chang'e was just across the communication crystal. Li Chang'e's reaction at that time was also very strange. The feeling of being hesitant to speak made Yilin feel that she seemed to have overlooked something very important. Seeing that Yilin didn't speak, Li Chang'e knew that he had guessed correctly, so he chuckled, "You all underestimate me, do you really think I can be that stupid? Haha, when it comes to this kind of showdown, there is no need for me to pretend to be a grandson. In order to survive until the end, I hid for too long, too long, too long. In this trial, let me be the villain. When I was filming in the past, I always felt that the villain was very stupid when he beeped at the righteous side at critical moments. He just kept his head and kept silent. Wouldn't it be nice to apply the skills and put them on? Wouldn't it be nice to kill the decent ones without saying a word? Hey, don't tell me, this feeling that I have been holding back for a long time and then suddenly showing off under the spotlight is really, really, really." As Li Chang'e spoke, his cheerful tone suddenly dropped in temperature and became eerie. He slowly stood up from the throne, and a skilled hairspray hand pushed his bangs to the top of his head. "Really, it's so exciting. Bo. Bo. Laugh." The moment Li Chang'e stood up, Yilin's two skills that had been prepared for a long time were released. Poison-quenching dagger. Tearing dagger. The light and shadow of two daggers, one red and one green, penetrated directly into Li Chang'e's eyes. After the skill was released, Yilin burst out with incredible hand speed. Almost before the damage number popped up on Li Chang'e's head, he took out a smoke bomb with his backhand and smashed it at his feet, completely hiding his body in the thick smoke. Middle. In the smoke, a long shadow extended, turned strangely on the ground, and went around behind Li Chang'e. Not to mention that Yilin's hand speed was already so fast that even he felt scared due to the professional bonus of Shadow Warlock. Moreover, his series of combos are becoming more and more proficient, and there is no ambiguity in connecting them. All these actions were performed one after another. As soon as Li Chang'e inserted the daggers into his eyes, Yilin appeared from Li Chang'e's shadow, with two bloody daggers in his hands, ready to cut into the opponent's neck. But suddenly, Yilin's subsequent combos came to an abrupt end. No. No. No damage value. Yilin knew that she had fast hands. After all, it comes from training. But it wasn't nearly there yet. He stabbed twice from a distance, then circled back, and when he was about to execute the finishing move, the initial damage value had not yet popped up. There is indeed a problem. Yilin had already noticed something was wrong. Always on guard secretly. After discovering the problem, Yilin popped up from the shadows and immediately shrank back, as if she had never appeared before. There was no pain on Li Changa's face. On the contrary, the strange smile on the corner of his mouth became stronger and stronger. In an instant, Li Changa's figure shook, and there was a gap in Yilin's sight. Is fake. This Li Changa is actually fake. Why is Yilin so surprised? Because before taking action, he used perception to confirm that this Li Changa also had the rhythm of breathing and heartbeat. It was completely different from the projection technique Deng showed in the academy. This is a skill. It is his unique innate skill. The clone created by this skill even deceived Yilin's perception. So scary. Yilin quickly figured out the reason. In the game world, as long as it can cause damage, the damage value will definitely appear. This is the rule. Even NPCs, monsters, and players all follow this rule. Occasionally, there are skills like Yilin's Grasp of Annihilation that completely break the rules. Although there are some, they are definitely not many. Otherwise, how can we continue to play this game? When Yilin figured this out, she immediately ran away without hesitation. Li Changa's figure, after shaking for a while, disappeared completely like flying ashes. Ha ha ha. Li Changa's arrogant laughter came from all directions. It was as if the air was filled with Li Changa's needy cells, making it impossible for Yilin to distinguish Li Changa's specific location from his voice. What skill is this? Yilin quickly changed her position. Yilin asked softly while changing positions, which also made it impossible for Li Changa to find his specific location. Rhapsody. True and false, false and true, this is my ability. I, Li Changa, am the one who can truly live to the end. If God had not given birth to me, Li Changa, my acting skills would last forever. I, Li Changa, destined to overwhelm all enemies. Even you are no exception. Kill me. Li Changa stopped pretending. He had a complete showdown. I, Li Changa, have a showdown. I'm actually really awesome. He endured it for many years and tried again and again, from birth to death. Now in this world, Li Changa no longer has any scruples. I, Li Changa, am destined to be the center of attention, step on the 7-color auspicious clouds, and shine brightly. Li Changa was in high spirits. 6 men in red robes, with their faces completely covered in robes, took off from below the palace and arrived outside the high platform in a blink of an eye. 6 people occupied the position of the hexagram in mid-air, completely surrounding the high platform where Yilin was. Sleepy. The 6 men in red robes moved in unison, as if they were completely copied and pasted, and the difference in movement was almost indistinguishable to the naked eye. After they quickly made a few strange gestures in front of them, a light flashed behind the 6 people. From the gaps in the robes, there was light coming out. Complex lines were quickly outlined behind the 6 people, completely connected together, they form a cage made of textures. The heads of the 6 red-robed men bear the same red name. 6 evil generals, 6 people. LV? I didn't expect that you, a great spiritual person, would choose the profession of assassin insidiously. As expected of you. The professional balance in this world is so poor. In the turn-based assassin profession, it actually has the strong concealment skill. This is really outrageous. Li Changa's laughter echoed far away. But it doesn't matter. I expected you to have this move a long time ago. When you take action, you have already lost. This is the trump card I specially left for you. Li Chang'e shouted for a while. Yi Lin still hasn't appeared. Like literally disappearing from the world. After Li Chang'e was silent for a moment, his voice echoed on the high platform again. Come out. What's the point of hiding? Come out quickly. Can everyone finish the work quickly? You're so boring. If you don't come out again, do you believe that I will fire the map cannon? Damn it. Where are the people? Far away. Yi Lin raised her head and looked in the direction of the palace. Surrounding the high tower on the top of the spire, the 6 red-robed bosses whose faces could not be seen clearly were lost in thought. 6 people? Can you use magic? Looking at the structure and lines of the technique, it seems that it is a function blocked from the concept of space. Thankfully I ran fast, otherwise, hee. Who designed this boss? It's so shameless. 6 bosses are treated as one? Could it be that it also has attributes such as life sharing? This is trouble.